Chapter 401. The Ghost Hag and Demon Duke were two of the southern wasteland's 5 great evildoers. Their strength was terrifying and their personalities were cruel and evil. Their hands were stained with the blood of countless people, and they were people that everyone wanted to get rid of. However, those who wanted to kill them had all gone to see the King of Hell. No one would have thought that they would be so respectful to a person, and an unknown young man at that. Aside from his handsome looks, his king stage strength was also extraordinary. However, it didn't seem possible for these two to be so respectful to him, right? Just as everyone was feeling puzzled, an unpleasant smell wafted over. A monarch stage expert from a powerful clan quickly shouted, "Quick, take the antidote pill. Poison Scorpion is here." None of the Demon Shadow Sect's people showed any signs of being poisoned. They cultivated the dark element, which allowed them to devour poisonous gas to nourish themselves and strengthen their spiritual energy. The Deity Dao Alliance's Vice Alliance Master had discovered it long ago and isolated his people, so they weren't affected by the poison. Only the 4 great clans and the loose cultivators were affected the most. The weaker king stage experts immediately felt dizzy, and their expressions became extremely unsightly. They all took the antidote and sat down cross-legged to force out the poison. Unfortunately, the poison was too strong, and they couldn't help but groan in pain. Some of them even fell to the ground, foaming at the mouth and unconscious. At this moment, a middle-aged man waved a black fan and walked through the air. He looked indescribably handsome. "Greetings, fellow Taoists." Poison Scorpion cupped his hands and greeted everyone politely. "Poison Scorpion, quickly take out the antidote or this old man won't let you off." An Ouyang clan Earthly Emperor shouted at Poison Scorpion. An Earthly Emperor from the Tang clan also shouted, "Old Poison, now that we're about to set off, do you really want to fight us? Quickly take out the antidote." Nangong Lai took a step forward, and a powerful brilliance of fire appeared. He said coldly, "Take out the antidote." Although Nangong Lai didn't bring his Inferno mercenaries, he was the leader of these loose cultivators and mercenaries. Naturally, he had to stand up for them. "Everyone, there's no need to get angry. If we can't even withstand a mere poison gas, then what's the point of rushing to Goose City and throwing our lives away? We might as well stay here and live a few more years," Poison Scorpion replied calmly, as if he wasn't afraid of anyone. "You are courting death." Nangong Lai furrowed his brows for a moment and shouted. Then he sent a fist that carried an intense fiery aura towards Poison Scorpion. "If you want to fight, I, Crazy Taoist, will help you double." A whistling sound came from not far away, and an earthen yellow shadow of a foot stomped towards Nangong Lai. Nangong Lai had no choice but to change the direction of his fist. His fiery fist collided with the yellow footprints. Rumble. The 2 powerful auras collided with each other, emitting a deafening explosion. The Lai Emperor lives up to his reputation. "Take another of my palms." The voice in the air sounded again, and a huge yellow palm print pressed down on Nangong Lai like a mountain. "Humph, do you think I'm afraid of you?" Nangong Lai snorted coldly. His whole body bounced up like an arrow released from a bowstring. A scorching giant fist, like a roaring fire dragon, fiercely hit the mountain. There was another shocking explosion, and the people below scattered far away. Nangong Lai and that person looked at each other from afar. His eyes were filled with indifference as he said, "Crazy Taoist, don't think that I really don't dare to kill you." The person who came was Crazy Taoist. He held a Taoist whisk in his hand and carried a long sword on his back. His clothes fluttered in the wind, and he gave off an indescribable feeling of transcendence. "Lai Emperor, how arrogant. Even if you can kill me, you will have to pay a heavy price. If you don't believe me, you can try." Crazy Taoist was not afraid to face Nangong Lai. "Crazy Taoist, come down. Why do you have to make things difficult for brother Nangong?" Poison Scorpion said while waving his black fan. "Poison Scorpion, if you don't give us the antidote, we will not rest until you are dead." The Tang clan's earthly sovereign took a step forward and shouted. Following that, the other 3 clans each sent out an earthly sovereign, surrounding Poison Scorpion. "Relying on numbers to bully us." Crazy Taoist quickly landed in front of Poison Scorpion and shouted at the people of the 4 great clans. For a moment, the scene became tense. The people of the Devil Shadow Sect and the Deity Dao Union looked at them mockingly and did not say anything to stop them. Just when they were about to make a move, a young man took a few steps forward and said indifferently, "You don't have to do this. Let's set off later. Peace is the most important thing. Brother Poison Emperor, please give them the antidote." As soon as these words were spoken, everyone's eyes fell on the person who spoke. Who was this expert who came out to be the peacemaker? Unexpectedly, they saw that it was the young man in his early 20s. This made their eyes filled with extreme disdain. Who else could this young man be but Ling Xiao? This has nothing to do with you. Get lost. The Ouyang clan's earthly sovereign shouted at Ling Xiao in annoyance. How could a mere king stage cultivator like you interfere with the matters of the 6 emperor stage cultivators? You really overestimate yourself. Since Brother Ling has spoken, I will naturally obey. Poison Scorpion cupped his hands towards Ling Xiao and replied. Immediately after, Poison Scorpion opened his mouth and took a deep breath. A few strands of black gas appeared on the Poison King stage cultivators and quickly flew into his mouth. When the black gas left their bodies, the King stage cultivator's pain was instantly relieved. Everyone looked at Poison Scorpion in confusion. He actually listened to the young man's orders? Nangong Lai, who was not far away, looked at Ling Xiao with a much more complicated gaze. It was as if he could not see through Ling Xiao's background. Could he really be a disciple of the rank 8 Purple Sky sect? All of you get out of the way. Crazy Taoist shouted at the earthly sovereigns of the 4 great clans. He then walked over to Ling Xiao's side and smiled. Brother Ling, how have you been? His smile had a hint of flattery, and he no longer had that arrogant and haughty attitude from before. Poison Scorpion also walked in front of Ling Xiao and glanced at the beautiful Kai Shiyue beside Ling Xiao. He smiled and said, Brother Ling is really lucky. I'm so envious of you. With Brother Poison King style, who knows how many beauties will throw themselves at you? What is there to be envious of? Ling Xiao replied. He then pointed at Shen Yao and the Demon Emperor and introduced them. He is my new little brother Trickster. This is my servant, Housekeeper Zhao. You must take good care of them during the operation. Ghost Hag, Poison Scorpion, and Crazy Taoist all looked at Shen Yao and the Demon Emperor. When they saw that Shen Yao was only a beginner king stage cultivator, they all revealed looks of disdain. But when they saw the Demon Emperor, their expressions changed to one of shock. The Demon Emperor looked at them with disdain and no longer paid them any attention. A servant of a middle-stage Earth Sovereign? This question popped up in the minds of all 4 of them. It was as if a storm was set off in their hearts. The 4 of them had mistaken Ling Xiao for the Thousand-Faced Scholar. The Thousand-Faced Scholar's strength was similar to theirs, but now that they saw that Ling Xiao was only a king-stage cultivator, they felt that the Thousand-Faced Scholar had already stepped into the half-venerable stage before them. Moreover, he had a level 6 Flood Dragon as his companion. This made them very wary of Ling Xiao. Now that they saw that Ling Xiao had brought a servant of a mid-stage Earth Emperor, they were even more convinced that the Thousand-Faced Scholar had already stepped into the half-venerable stage. Otherwise, how could he have taken in such a powerful servant? They were now even more afraid of Ling Xiao. It wasn't just the 4 of them. Even the 4 forces at the side were curious about Ling Xiao's identity. Who was this young man to be able to make the 4 villains fawn and respect him so much? Only a venerable stage expert would have such a deterrent effect. Could this young man be an outstanding talent of a great sect or ancient clan in the central region? But even so, these 4 villains might not be able to lower themselves to fawn over him, right? They thought doubtfully. At this moment, the leader of the Magic Shadow sect swept his gaze over the crowd and said in a hoarse voice, Since everyone is here, let's set off. However, the Deity Dao Union's masked Vice Alliance Master said indifferently, There's no rush. There's still one more person who hasn't arrived. The leader of the Magic Shadow sect snorted disdainfully, It doesn't matter if someone unimportant comes or not. Are you talking about me? A dignified voice came from all directions. The voice was ethereal and no one knew where it came from. The leader of the Magic Shadow sect suddenly raised his head and shouted, Hiding your head but showing your tail. You're seeking death. As he spoke, he opened his hand, and a black cloud surged out in all directions without any wind. Ignorant Junior, even if your clan head was here, he would not dare to be so impudent to this old man. An incomparably dignified voice came from the air, and a ball of fiery light burned the black cloud away. A figure sitting on a fire luan broke through the clouds and descended from the sky. The fire luan screeched and flapped its flaming wings. This fire luan was a medial rank 6 fire-attributed spirit beast. It had the bloodline of the undying phoenix, a spirit beast of the same rank as the flood dragon. In the future it would have a chance of becoming a rank 8 spirit beast. An old man sat on the fire luan. This old man sat cross-legged on the fire luan. He had white hair and a youthful complexion. His robes fluttered in the wind, and his expression was calm. He had the air of an immortal. When everyone saw this old man, they all revealed expressions of shock. Everyone immediately bowed to the old man on the fire lawn and said, "Greetings, Grandmaster Alchemist." Even the people of the Magic Shadow Sect and the Deity Dao Union were no exception. Only Ling Xiao, Kai Shiyue, Xian Yao, and the Demon Emperor did not move. The Demon Emperor secretly transmitted his voice to Ling Xiao. "This is a venerable realm expert." Ling Xiao was shocked and he thought to himself, no wonder his deterrence is so strong. Whether it was in the northwest or the southern wasteland, celestial venerables were like lofty gods that people looked up to and revered. In the vast northwest, only the 3 rank 7 sects had venerables. Before this, Ling Xiao had seen the Dong family's patriarch, a celestial venerable, for the first time in Nantian City. The might of the Dong family's patriarch was still vivid in his mind. That might that could topple mountains and overturn seas, and split mountains and split the earth was simply omnipotent and shocking in all directions. He did not expect that going to Gu City would actually alarm a venerable realm expert. He felt even more uncertain in his heart. He was going to Gu City to look for the heavenly Gu divine technique, and the purpose of these people was naturally for the 2 divine items of the Gu race. Originally, he was already insignificant in front of so many experts. Now that another celestial venerable had come, he felt even more pressure. Chapter 402. 500 years ago, Danshan Dao was an outstanding talent in the southern wasteland. He was born in a small clan in a small city. As he was born of a concubine, he did not have any status in the clan. He was not valued or nurtured by the clan. He was born stubborn and was not willing to be manipulated by fate. He left the clan and went around to learn from masters. Unfortunately, he was not talented and was thought to be not suitable for cultivation. No one took him in. He was shunned everywhere and was mocked. He had no master. In the end, he was taken in as a disciple by a loose cultivator. That loose cultivator was a famous rank 4 alchemist in the southern wasteland. Unfortunately, he had a good master. Danshan Dao made up for his lack of talent with diligence. He tried his best to prove that he was not completely useless. His master saw that he was determined and that he was about to die. Thus, he took out treasures that he had kept for many years to reconstruct his meridians and unearthed his wisdom and potential. At that time he was already 20 years old. It could be said that he had passed the best cultivation period. However, he was not discouraged. Every day, other than learning alchemy, he would cultivate with all his might. When his master passed away, he was only a profound realm cultivator. At that time he was already 30 years old. If it were someone else, they would definitely lose confidence in the path of cultivation. However, he did not give up. He continued to cultivate and concoct pills every day. Later, when he was 40 years old, he went to the wasteland to search for spirit herbs. He was chased by spirit beasts and accidentally fell into a secret realm. From then on, his strength increased by leaps and bounds. When he was 50 years old, he became a king and a rank 3 alchemist. He started to show his talent in the southern wasteland. When he was 100 years old, he stepped into the Earth Sovereign realm and became a rank 5 alchemist. He started to become a big shot in the southern wasteland. Now that 500 years had passed, he had become a celestial venerable. At the same time, he became the top alchemist of the northwestern and southern wasteland. A rank 6 alchemist was a respected person that people looked up to no matter where they went. Even the Demon Shadow Sect's master and the Deity Dao Alliance's master had to be respectful to him. Danshan Dao sat on a fire lawn. He coldly looked at the Demon Shadow Sect's leader who had collided with him and said, "You want to kill me?" Right after he said that, the Demon Shadow Sect's leader was sent flying dozens of meters away by a formless pressure. He vomited a mouthful of blood. "Let me teach you a lesson. Don't be so arrogant," said Danshan Dao indifferently. The leader of the Devil Shadow Sect climbed to his feet and cupped his hands towards Danshan. "Thank you, Grandmaster Dan, for showing mercy." Danshan didn't even look at him. He closed his eyes and said, "Let's go." After saying that, the fire wand flapped its wings and disappeared into the sky with a gorgeous ray of light. The people of the Demon Shadow Sect and the Deity Dao Union started to move. 15 huge black bats appeared in front of the 15 Devil Shadow Sect members. This was a rank 4 advanced dark attribute spirit beast. It was ferocious, bloodthirsty, and extremely fast. The 15 of them jumped onto the black bat and flew towards the horizon. On the Deity Dao Union's side, 15 azure-winged wind eagles appeared. It was also a 4th-tier wind attribute spirit beast, and it flew as fast as lightning. The Deity Dao Union's people all rode on their eagles to give chase. Everyone else summoned their flying spirit beasts and set foot on the road to Gu City. The ghost hag fiend couple rode on a 2-headed flying snake. The two-headed flying snake was a rank 5 inferior grade flying snake. It had 2 snake heads and 2 attributes. Its body was more than 20 meters long. When it soared into the sky, it looked like a flood dragon. It hissed ferociously, scaring some of the low-ranked flying spirit beasts into hiding. Poison Scorpion was riding on a Type 5 mid-stage 4-winged Scorpion King, its brown cicada wings emitting a strange sound, as a black poisonous fog spread out in all directions, causing the others to be unable to dodge in time, in order to avoid being poisoned. Crazy Taoist rode on an Earth-Eye Eagle, a rank 5 inferior grade spirit beast that he had subdued not long ago. The eagle's eyes could send out waves of elemental attacks, causing people to fall into a deep sleep and lose their ability to defend. Ling Xiao and Kai Shiyue rode on her 5-colored divine bird. Shen Yao and the demon emperor rode on the bald lion eagle given to them by the Chela tribe. Why doesn't brother Ling ride his own mount? Poison Scorpion asked out of curiosity. Crazy Taoist said from the side, that's right. If brother Ling rides, that Dan Shen and the Fire Luan will have to retreat. Haha, that's right, the ghost hag demon duke echoed. I've always been a low-key person. Leave such flashy things to the younger generation. Ling Xiao brushed away the scattered hair on his forehead and said in an extremely carefree manner. Brother Ling is right, Poison Scorpion said with a slightly surprised expression. He had already guessed that Ling Xiao must have kept this as his last resort, which was why he didn't let others know. Poison Scorpion now felt that the thousand-faced scholar in front of him was much more shrewd than he had imagined. Ling Xiao stood on the bird's back and looked into the distant horizon. He thought to himself, Gu City, I'm coming. Don't let me return empty-handed. Gu City was surrounded by majestic mountains and lofty ridges. The trees were lush, and there were hundreds of herbs and spirit flowers everywhere. Low-rank spirit beasts roared and cried. When a group of high-rank spirit beasts and powerful human martial artists flew across the sky, the spirit beasts were so frightened that they ran away in all directions. The Fire Luan in the lead, which flew like a fiery meteor, displayed supreme might. Wherever it went, the clouds dissipated and the flames flickered. The 15 black bats behind it spread their wings and covered the sky. Their fierce eyes were like lightning, and their fangs were bloodthirsty. They were like demons flying through the sky. The other 15 green-winged wind eagles stirred up a grade 8 gale, which caused the towering trees to sway and fall. The various flying spirit beasts at the end also had extraordinary auras, and they were doing their best to chase after the Fire Luan in the lead. Behind them was a 5-colored divine bird that flew in a tepid manner. It released strands of multicolored light, which was extremely attractive. On top of the divine bird, a young man and woman were snuggling together. They seemed so affectionate. I'll teach you the mnemonic to recover your soul power. Once you've recovered your strength, I'll help you break through to the Earth's sovereign realm, Ling Xiao said as he held Kai Xiaoyu in his arms. Is there really a technique to recover the soul? Without the help of spirit herbs? Kai Xiaoyu asked in astonishment. Of course I, your husband, am a genius. How difficult is it for me to recover from a small injury to the soul? Ling Xiao said in an extremely arrogant manner. Then he passed the mnemonic to Kai Xiaoyu, the healing mnemonic of the soul-controlling art. Although the soul-controlling art was only 1/3 complete, it had a healing mnemonic. Every time Ling Xiao's spiritual sea was emptied, he would use the soul-controlling art to recover his divine power. The soul was the entirety of the spiritual sea. Ling Xiao only needed to pass on the healing mnemonic to her, and she would naturally be able to gradually recover. Kai Xiaoyu's memory was amazing. Ling Xiao had only said the mnemonic twice and she had already memorized it. The journey to Gu City would take half a month. Kai Xiaoyu spent the first 3 days to recover her soul power, and her strength returned to the peak of the king stage. The reason why her recovery was slow was because she hadn't learned the soul-controlling art. Otherwise it wouldn't have taken so long. I've finally recovered completely. It seems that my soul power has also strengthened a lot. Kai Xiaoyu's beautiful eyes bloomed with brilliance. It's good that you've recovered. Do you have the confidence to break through to the monarch stage? Ling Xiao asked. Kai Xiaoyu was surprised and asked, Can I really break through to the monarch stage? Of course, your husband is omnipotent. Ling Xiao touched Kai Xiaoyu's chest and said in an extremely wretched manner. Kai Xiaoyu fell into Ling Xiao's arms and said, My strength is still lacking some accumulation, but my comprehension of spiritual energy is still okay. Is this really okay? If your husband says it's okay, then it's okay. Let's first let your strength reach the peak of the king stage, Ling Xiao said as he scratched Kai Xiaoyu's nose. He was now more and more fond of this obedient and charming woman. Looking at her mature body, he often couldn't help but go berserk. If they weren't hurrying along the way, he would have pounced on her and done her on the spot. Ling Xiao handed a bottle of 10,000-year stone emulsion to Kai Xiaoyu and said, "Drink it obediently. Can help me reach the Earth Emperor stage?" Kai Xiaoyu asked with a doubtful look. "Of course not, but it should be able to help you reach the peak of the King stage, and it will also cleanse your body again," Ling Xiao replied. Kai Xiaoyu's beautiful eyes lit up as she took the bottle of 10,000-year stone emulsion. As soon as she opened it, a pure and vast energy spread out. This is top-grade stone emulsion." Kai Xiaoyu couldn't help but exclaim. Not far from Ling Xiao, the ghost woman, poison scorpion, and the mad Taoist couldn't help but look at Kai Xiaoyu, their eyes full of burning desire. "Ha! It's the taste of top-grade stone emulsion. What pure energy!" The ghost woman and the demon man cried out in unison. Poison scorpion and the mad Taoist swallowed their saliva, looking as if they wanted to snatch it and swallow it. Xian Yao snorted in jealousy and said, "Too shameful. He's actually using such a top-grade thing to pick up girls." "You're really giving it to me?" Kai Xiaoyu asked in disbelief. Because of the love-not flower, she had lost her chastity to Ling Xiao. Now, her whole body and mind were inclined towards Ling Xiao, but her mind and experience were not affected in the slightest. Of course, she knew the preciousness of this top-grade stone emulsion. It must be known that in the Dong family's auction, a few drops of ordinary stone emulsion were sold for sky-high prices. She really didn't expect Ling Xiao to be so generous as to give her such a small bottle of it. Ling Xiao glanced at the greedy people and said with a chuckle, "I went through a lot of hardships to get this from a dangerous cave. There are only 3 bottles. I've taken one and now I'll give you another. I still have one left so you can rest assured and drink it." "Thank you, husband, you're too kind to me." When Kai Xiaoyu heard that Ling Xiao had taken one bottle and there was still one left, she immediately happily accepted Ling Xiao's gift. Then she passionately kissed Ling Xiao's face to show her inner excitement. "If I don't treat you well, who should I treat well to? You're my wife," Ling Xiao said with infinite tenderness. Kai Xiaoyu calmed her mind, adjusted her state of mind, and poured the bottle of 10,000-year stone emulsion into her mouth. Not far from her, Ghost Woman, Demon Duke, Poison Scorpion, and Crazy Taoist all had pained expressions. This 10,000-year stone emulsion had the effect of washing the marrows and meridians of martial artists below the mystic the arch stage. Ghost Woman, Demon Duke, Poison Scorpion, and Crazy Taoist all wanted to wash the filth in their bodies again and reconstruct their meridians. As long as they did this, they would definitely step into the venerable stage in the future. To reach the venerable stage, they needed to comprehend the energy of heaven and earth and comprehend their own small world. Perhaps they would successfully break through under some kind of opportunity, or they might be stuck at the peak of the monarch stage for the rest of their lives. Although this 10,000-year stone emulsion couldn't allow them to comprehend the heaven and earth, it could allow them to wash their marrows and meridians again, allowing their tenbin to improve again. This would definitely greatly improve their comprehension. Chapter 403. Above the sky, a dense mass of flying spirit beasts formed a canopy that covered the sky. A multicolored divine bird blossomed with golden rays of light, as dazzling as a golden sun. A powerful force spread out, shaking the surrounding clouds and causing them to dissipate. Many people sitting on flying spirit beasts were attracted by the powerful aura and looked back. That girl is somewhat tenbin. She was actually able to make a breakthrough under such circumstances. The day of her becoming an emperor is not far away. This woman is known as Blood Azura, and is famous for killing people without batting an eye. She has only been in the world for 20 years, but she has already gained some fame. I've never heard of her having a cultivation partner, but now she's attached to a low-level monarch. It's really a pity. Don't you think that young man is very strange? He actually made 4 of the 5 great villains listen to him. I really don't know where he came from. Does he really have some kind of powerful background? The Demon Lady, Poison Scorpion, and Crazy Taoist are all arrogant and unruly people. It's hard to believe that they would be willing to submit to someone else. If that thousand-faced scholar was here, would he also listen to that young man's orders? If he dares to participate in this operation, he must have something to rely on. Maybe that mid-level monarch near him is the 1,000-year scholar in disguise. If that's the case, then the 5 great villains are all gathered together. Could it be that they originally came from the same place, and that young man is the successor of that place? That's why they listen to him? Could it be a hidden force that is comparable to a powerful force like the demon sect or the divine union? The independent cultivators and the people from the aristocratic families were all speculating about Kai Shiyue and Ling Xiao in a low voice. Not far from Ling Xiao, the four great villains didn't pay attention to their thoughts. They saw that Kai Shiyue's strength really increased after taking the 10,000-year stone milk, and her whole person seemed to be full of vitality. They were already completely sure that what Ling Xiao had taken out was definitely a top-grade stone milk. The four of them were tempted. Snatch it? This really wouldn't work. Beg him? What was the use? Who would give such a precious thing to an outsider? Barter it? However, what they could offer in exchange was limited. The 10,000-year stone emulsion was a divine liquid between heaven and earth. It was a top-grade liquid that could only be found by chance. They had lived for so many years, yet they had never heard of such a divine liquid appearing anywhere. Now, the divine liquid had appeared in front of them, but they could only stare at it. They could not get a share of it. This was related to how far they could go on their martial way. It really made them feel extremely uncomfortable. They were all secretly exclaiming in their hearts, "Luckily there's still one bottle." Cough cough. Congratulations to Madame Ling for advancing in strength. The day of you becoming an emperor is not far away. This is truly worthy of celebration. Poison Scorpion coughed lightly and cupped his hands towards Ling Xiao and Kai Shiyue. Thank you, Poison Emperor, for your praise. Kai Xiaoyu bowed to Poison Scorpion. Kai Shiyue had naturally heard of the reputation of the five great evildoers, but she didn't know why they were so respectful and fawning towards Ling Xiao. Could it be that Ling Xiao was really one of the five great evildoers, the thousand-faced scholar? What does it matter who he is? I only love him, Kai Shiyue firmly thought in her heart. At this time the Ghost Hag, Demon Duke and Mad Taoist came back to their senses. The Ghost Hag and Demon Duke also fawned over Kai Shiyue in unison. Ha, Madame Ling's talent is outstanding. We really can't catch up to you. When we were your age we were only low-level emperors. Mad Taoist squeezed out a flattering smile and said, Brother Ling and Madame Ling are both dragons and phoenixes among men. In the future, your name will definitely shake the continent and you will become a pair of immortal Tao companions that will make others envious. Seniors, you're too kind. Kai Shiyue's delicate face blushed from the praises. The four of them were notorious, but their strength was at the peak of the southern wasteland. Who wouldn't like to hear their flattery? If it were an ordinary person, they would probably not be able to sleep at night after being praised. Ling Xiao yawned and said casually, Since you all have nothing to do, why don't you protect my wife and let her break through to the emperor's stage? Brother Ling, although your wife is Tenbin, she has just reached the great perfection of the king's stage. She should consolidate her strength first and not be too hasty, Poison Scorpion advised. He muttered in his heart, just a few words of praise and she's climbing up the ladder. Does she really think that breaking through to the emperor's stage is something that can be done just because she wants to? She's overestimating herself. Haha, Brother Ling, Poison Scorpion is right. There's no need to rush. Ghost Hag and Demon Duke said. They were afraid that Kai Shiyue would break through because of these words. If she failed to break through and lost her strength, Ling Xiao would vent his anger on them. They couldn't afford to suffer such a crime. Mad Taoist also said, It's not too late to break through after we get out of Gu City. She's bound to become an emperor anyway, so it's not good to break through rashly. At this time, Xianyao couldn't help but advise, Brother Ling, be careful. At the same time he was also wondering, does he really have a way to help her break through to the emperor's stage? Ling Xiao chuckled and stretched his back. He traced a finger around the bird's body. The few of them saw that Ling Xiao had actually laid down a restriction. Moreover, this restriction was arranged very cleverly and had a somewhat natural feeling to it. This restriction was something that Ling Xiao had learned from the heaven-suppressing sect's tomb in the secret territory. Although the restriction he had set up wasn't very strong, it was very intricate. It wasn't too far off from a normal emperor stage cultivator's restriction. Then a bottle appeared in Ling Xiao's hand, and within it was a crystal-clear pill. The king pill was a top-tier 4th-stage pill, comparable to a 5th-stage pill. It could increase any king stage cultivator's chances of breaking through to the emperor stage. Even if the breakthrough failed, it wouldn't affect the cultivator's original strength. He had obtained this pill from the secret territory under the desolate mountain range. Ling Xiao had always wanted to use this king pill as a betrothal gift to sect master Yun Xiong. But now he felt that it wasn't necessary. He had even better treasures, and this king pill was perfect for Kai Shiyue to use to break through to the emperor stage. There's still a lot of time, enough for you to break through. This way you'll have a better chance of survival in Gu City, Ling Xiao said indifferently as he stuffed the pill into Kai Shiyue's hand. Kai Shiyue looked at the pill in her hand and was speechless. Not far from Ling Xiao, the four villains, Xian Yao and the Demon Emperor all revealed expressions of shock. Kai Shiyue had just reached the peak of the King stage, but there was still some time before she could break through to the Emperor stage. They all felt that this wasn't the best time for her to break through. But now that she had taken out the King pill, things were different. I didn't expect Brother Ling to have such a precious pill. Your wife isn't far from breaking through to the Emperor stage. Poison Scorpion was the first to react. Haha, that's right. We are willing to protect your wife, and we guarantee that no one will disturb her breakthrough, the Ghost Woman and the Demon Duke said in unison. Whoever dares to disturb Madame Ling's breakthrough will be killed without mercy, the crazy Taoist shouted with a wave of his horsetail whisk. The people not far in front of them all cursed inwardly, these madmen. Ling Xiao chuckled, then jumped onto Xian Yao's vulture eagle and let Kai Shiyue sit on the five-colored divine bird to break through. Kai Shiyue cast an affectionate look at Ling Xiao, then sat down cross-legged. Breaking through to the Earth Emperor stage couldn't be sloppy at all, and Ling Xiao was taking a risk. He wanted to completely shock these villains in front of him and make them completely believe that he, the thousand-faced scholar, was absolutely not fake. At the same time he also had the idea of subduing them. Although these people didn't have a good reputation, if he could make one or two of them submit to him, they would definitely be of great help to him. He wasn't willing to stay in this small place like the Northwest or the Southern Wasteland. His goal was to go to the Central Domain, the Holy Land of Martial Arts and even the Heaven Domain, where the Saint-level super experts lived. This path was destined to be difficult, so in addition to making himself stronger as soon as possible, he also needed to strengthen the forces around him so that he could have more help in the future. In the blink of an eye, 5 days passed. During these 5 days, the Ghost Woman, the Demon Duke, the Poison Scorpion, and the crazy Taoist guarded around Kai Shiyue, forming a line to protect her and the five-colored divine bird, so that not even a mosquito could fly in. Ling Xiao was very satisfied with this situation. His initial temptation had succeeded. I say, Brother Ling, do you still have any King's pill? Give me one or two, Xian Yao asked with a fawning expression. Ling Xiao looked up at him and said, yes, but your cultivation is still low, so it's useless. Xian Yao's eyes bloomed and he said, this? I can save it for now. With my 10 bin, it'll be easy for me to reach the King's great perfection. Well, you can ask me for more when the time comes, Ling Xiao replied. Don't, it's better to keep it for me now. If anything happens to you, wouldn't my dream of becoming an emperor be in vain? Xian Yao said unwillingly. Ling Xiao's expression darkened and he immediately scolded, damn, you dare to curse me? Don't even think about asking me for any more pills in this life. Xian Yao smiled awkwardly and said, it's a mistake. It's a pure mistake. Ling Xiao closed his eyes and meditated, deciding to ignore this guy who deserved a beating. On the 6th day, the sky was filled with golden light, as if some peerless object had descended to the world. The golden light was extremely dazzling and extraordinary. A five-colored divine bird was surrounded by a thick layer of golden heaven and earth spiritual energy. In the blink of an eye, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth had all entered Saixiayu's dantian. The five-colored divine bird was extremely comfortable being bathed in the spiritual energy, and it couldn't help but spit out its beast core to absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. The strong change in the aura shocked everyone. Who's breaking through? Such dense and powerful spiritual energy, it should be breaking through to the Earth Emperor stage. It's that Blood Azura. Didn't she just reach the King's great perfection not long ago? How could she break through to the Earth Emperor stage now? She's crazy. Her realm hasn't stabilized yet. If she breaks through to the Earth Emperor stage in such a hurry, she'll definitely fail. No, her realm has already stabilized. Look at how strong the spiritual energy she's attracting is. It's obvious that she's already half a step into the Earth Emperor stage. As long as she can comprehend the realm of spiritual movement, she'll become an emperor today. How is this possible? She's clearly only at the King's great perfection. How could she break through again? Does she really have some kind of monstrous physique? But even so, she can't break through in a few days. There's another possibility. She might have taken some high-grade pill to break through. Chapter 404. Golden light filled the air and a myriad of colors filled the air. All the flying teams stopped and stared at the man and beast behind them who were breaking through at the same time. The 4 villains near Kai Xiaoyu were all shocked by this scene. She really broke through. The 4 of them exclaimed in their hearts at the same time. They didn't believe that Ling Xiao could really create an Earth sovereign in such a short period of time, but the truth was right in front of them and they had no choice but to believe it. They all secretly praised Ling Xiao's methods. First, he used the 10,000-year stone emulsion to help Kai Xiaoyu reach the peak of the King's Step, and then he used the King Ji pill to help her break through in one fell swoop. What others would take decades or hundreds of years to achieve was done by him in just a few days. It was simply enviable. As the golden light faded, 2 powerful auras soared into the sky. One of them had a graceful and exquisite figure that was coiled with golden divine radiance, and her elegant bearing and ethereal charm caused everyone to be extremely shocked and praise her. Many cultivators with poor willpower drooled, and their eyes were about to pop out. The other bird's 5 dazzling tails were sparkling and colorful, extremely tempting, and its cries were full of joy and joy. The 5-colored divine bird was an ancient high-rank spirit beast that had some of the bloodline of the sacred peacock beast. Its colorful tail was its proudest asset. It had long been a peak 4th-rank spirit beast, and with the help of Kai Xiaoyu's breakthrough, it absorbed the powerful essence of heaven and earth and broke through in one fell swoop, becoming a low-rank 5th-rank spirit beast. A man and a beast breaking through at the same time was truly rare in the secular world. Everyone was so shocked by this scene that it was difficult to describe with words. Congratulations to Fairy for becoming an emperor. Except for a few high-rank Earth sovereigns, everyone present slightly cupped their hands towards Kai Xiaoyu and congratulated her. No matter who it was, breaking through to the Emperor Step was definitely something worth celebrating. Once one reached the Emperor Step, it meant that they had stepped into the ranks of the top experts and would be respected by everyone. An Ouyang family's Earth sovereign invited Kai Xiaoyu. Fairy, are you willing to join my Ouyang family and become a guardian elder? My Ouyang family can provide you with the best resources to help you reach a higher level. The Nangong family's Earth sovereign also invited, Fairy can join my Nangong family and become a guardian elder. We can also provide you with the best cultivation resources. The Xan clan's earthly emperor said indifferently, Fairy, you can join my Xan clan. My Xan clan is a well-known alchemy clan, and we can provide you with even more of the best medicinal pills to help you step into the Exalt realm one day. The Tang family's Earth Emperor was slightly displeased. Your Xan family doesn't even have a 5th-grade alchemist, so how can you help the fairy break through to the honorable realm? Then he said to Kai Shiyue, in terms of resources, which one of them can compare to my Tang family? My Tang family can provide a low-level spirit artifact for the fairy to use. As long as the fairy is willing to join my Tang family, our Tang family can definitely provide the resources you need. Bullshit, your Tang family is just a blacksmith. Fairy joining your Tang family would only be an insult to her status. The Emperor-level expert from the Xan family replied angrily. The Ouyang and Nangong families also tried their best to invite Kai Xiaoyu. For a moment, the 4 great families' Earth sovereign-level experts were red in the face. At this moment, a faint voice sounded, Fairy is unparalleled and Tenbin is extraordinary. Why don't you join my Divine Alliance and become a guardian elder of my Divine Alliance? You can spread the Divine Alliance's purpose and share the peace of the world. There was no need to guess. This was definitely the Deity Dao Alliance's Vice Alliance Master's golden mouth. The 4 great families were all ancient desolate families, so there was no need to talk about their foundation and strength. They were definitely not weaker than any rank 8 sect. However, the Deity Dao Alliance was one of the strongest alliances in the southern wasteland. There were many disciples in the alliance and there were many experts in the sect. The Alliance Master was a powerful existence at the venerable level. Their strength was superior to the 4 great families. When the Deity Dao Alliance spoke, the expressions of the 4 great families turned extremely unsightly. They all thought disdainfully in their hearts, this damn Deity Dao Alliance should be called the Plague Alliance. The talent that Kai Xiaoyu displayed had already attracted everyone's attention. She was only in her 40s, which was way too young for a high-level martial artist. Most of the King Stage experts present were between 50 to 200 years old. As for the Earth Emperor Stage experts, which one of them wasn't over 100 years old? Even Nangong Lai, who had once obtained a great opportunity, was nearly 100 years old. With Kai Xiaoyu's Tenbin, it was not difficult to imagine that she would have the chance to become the second Nangong Lai. That was why many powers were trying their best to invite Kai Xiaoyu to join them to increase their strength and foundation. Alright, stop arguing. I can't sleep any longer even if I wanted to. Ling Xiao seemed to have just woken up. He stretched his body and yawned. Then he looked at Kai Xiaoyu and his eyes lit up. You, broke through. Kai Xiaoyu smiled and nodded repeatedly. You, and Xiaoyu were lucky enough to break through. Thank you, husband. Ling Xiao flew away from the vulture eagle, and Kai Xiaoyu impatiently threw herself into his arms. Now, she did not have any of the dignified demeanor of an Earth Sovereign level expert. She was just like a young girl who had just fallen in love, full of infinite joy and attachment. Everyone was dumbfounded. They had just been fighting with each other to draw Kai Xiaoyu to join their forces. But now, the hot protagonist had thrown herself into the arms of a low-level king-level young man. This made them feel as if they had been electrocuted. They all felt as if the world had been turned upside down. Why would a dignified new Earth Sovereign rely on a small king-level expert? She should go to a wider world to survive and develop and continue to cultivate. It's good that you broke through. Don't waste your husband's good intentions. Ling Xiao kissed Kai Xiaoyu's forehead and said. The surrounding people were even more frantic in their hearts. The fairy in their hearts had actually been polluted by a mortal. She really deserved to be punished by the heavens. Fairy, now that you have become a sovereign, why are you still following this kid? Don't you want to go further? The Ouyang clan's Earth Sovereign advised. That's right. This kid is just a low-level king-level expert. He will never be able to catch up to you in this lifetime. Why are you reluctant to part with this useless trash? The Xan clan's Earth Sovereign echoed. That's right. Join our Nangong clan. We can definitely help you reach the venerable level quickly and dominate a region. The Nangong clan's Earth Sovereign tempted. Join our Tang clan. You can use any spirit equipment you want, and you won't lack cultivation resources. The Tang clan's Earth Sovereign invited. The Divine Union is your best choice. Everyone, there is no need to argue. The Deity Dao Union's Vice Union leader said tyrannically. Kai Xiaoyu wanted to say something, but Crazy Taoist shouted first, don't waste your time. Fairy is Brother Ling's immortal companion. Why would she join your small sects? You really don't know what you are talking about. What was crazy? This was crazy. In the southern wasteland, the Deity Dao Union and the four noble clans were definitely the peak powers. Who dared to be so arrogant as to think that they were small sects? Aside from Crazy Taoist, there was probably no one who dared to speak so boldly. Only if that person was tired of living would they dare to say such words. The people of the Deity Dao Union and the four noble clans all glared at Crazy Taoist angrily. The Deity Dao Union's Vice Union leader said faintly, Crazy Taoist, you have a ruthless temperament. How about this union leader reform you into following our divine union and promoting our divine union's purpose? After saying that, a blue steel hoop appeared in the Deity Dao Union's Vice Union leader's hand. The steel hoop gave off a strange aura, and dozens of strange lotus flowers appeared. When everyone saw this blue steel hoop, their expressions changed. This was a middle-grade rank 6 spirit equipment, Blue Lotus Hoop. It was refined from dozens of 7,000-year-old Blue Lotus cores. It had the ability to control and confuse one's mind. Aha, we also want to be reformed by you. Let's see who will be reformed first. The ghost hag retreated to Crazy Taoist's side and shouted. The skeleton staff in the ghost hag's hand gave off a frightening green light. I would like you to help me purify the poisonous gas in my hand. Is that possible? A black poisonous gas appeared in Poison Scorpion's hand. Waves after waves of poisonous gas spread out, corroding the surrounding air and causing it to corrode. The people of the Deity Dao Union gathered around their Vice Union leader, waiting for his orders. The people of the four noble clans retreated, not wanting to get involved in this mess. Just as the battle was about to start, a dignified voice came from afar. Are you leaving or not? If not, then don't follow me. Otherwise, don't blame this old man for being impolite. The scarlet light did not linger and disappeared into the horizon. Everyone recovered their wits and did not want to waste any more time. It was more important for them to hurry on with their journey. The Deity Dao Union's Vice Union leader looked coldly at the four evil men and said, I hope you can leave Gu City alive and give our divine union a chance to reform the four of you. After saying that, he quickly left on the green-winged wind eagle. The Crazy Taoist shouted in disdain, You really think so highly of yourselves. Of course we can leave Gu City alive, but it's hard to say for your Plague Alliance. Ah, well said. We should change our name to Plague Alliance, the Ghost Hag and Duke Fiend said with a smile. Poison Scorpion waved his black fan and smiled, Lower your voice. If others hear us, they will think that we are making a scene. Poison Scorpion asked them to lower their voice, but his words could travel 1,000 meters and everyone could hear him clearly. The four evil men were not afraid of anything. The deity Dao Union had always viewed them as a thorn in their side, and they also hated the people of the deity Dao Union. Congratulations, Madam Ling, for advancing to Monarch Realm. I have a golden man lotus here. Please accept it as a small token of my respect. A jade box appeared in Poison Scorpion's hand. This jade box contained a small golden flower. This was a medial grade 5 golden man lotus, a rare spirit flower that metal-attributed cultivators desired. When the ghost hag and Duke Fiend saw this, they exchanged glances. A jade box also appeared in the ghost hag's hand. She smiled and said, "Congratulations, Madam Ling, for ascending to the throne. This is a high-ranked rank 5 metal-attributed beast core. I hope you like it." The crazy Taoist became anxious. He did not seem to have any high-ranked metal-attributed spirit grass or beast cores in his spatial ring. Was he going to miss this opportunity to curry favor with Ling Xiao? Suddenly, the crazy Taoist found something good in his spatial ring and quickly took it out. "Congratulations, Madam Ling, for ascending to the throne. This is a high-ranked rank 5 defensive armor from the Tang clan. It should be suitable for you to wear. Madam Ling, please accept it," the crazy Taoist said as he held up the armor with both hands. Chapter 405. This. How can I accept it? Kai Shiyue said with some difficulty, casting a questioning look at Ling Xiao. "These things are a bit shabby," Ling Xiao said as he glanced at the items in their hands. He paused for a moment before saying, "But since they are a token of their appreciation, you should accept them." When the 4 villains heard this, their faces heated up. They all thought, "This is too unreasonable. Such a good thing is shabby. If you don't want it, then forget it." They only thought about it in their hearts and didn't dare to say it out loud. For the sake of the 10,000-year stone emulsion, they had to endure it. To the side, Xian Yao's face was a bit unnatural and he couldn't help but twitch. This guy is too good at swindling people. Such a high-grade thing is shabby. I'm afraid you'll be secretly happy later. You're a typical person who doesn't know how to behave after obtaining something. Ling Xiao glanced at Xian Yao's expression and asked, "Little brother, what gift do you have for your wife?" Xian Yao's heart clenched and his expression seemed to say, "I've only just entered the king realm. What good thing can I have?" A sinister smile appeared on Ling Xiao's face and his expression seemed to say, "Don't think that this young master doesn't know that you still have a lot of treasures. If you don't take out something decent, this young master will definitely not let you off. Husband, I think it's better to forget about it. Don't make things difficult for him," Kai Shiyue said very considerately. But in Xian Yao's ears, these words were extremely sarcastic. "You husband and wife are vicious." Xian Yao gritted his teeth and took out a pure and unadorned pearl. This pearl was the size of a fist and sparkled brightly. As soon as it appeared, the surrounding spiritual energy quickly gathered around it. The demon emperor, who rarely spoke, exclaimed, "Soul-absorbing pearl." Soul-absorbing pearl? The 4 villains were all surprised and then they all thought of something. Their pupils shrank slightly, and their gazes became incomparably passionate. They clearly knew what a soul-absorbing pearl was. Xian Yao congratulates Madame Ling for advancing to the earthly sovereign realm. This is a spirit-absorbing pearl. As long as you carry it with you, you'll be able to gather spiritual energy no matter where you are. You'll never have to worry about spiritual energy depletion, Xian Yao said indifferently. Ling Xiao licked his lips and hurriedly urged Kai Shiyue, "Yue, hurry up and accept it." Then he turned to the 4 villains and said, "Look, my little brother took out something decent. Aren't your things too shabby?" When the 4 great evils heard those words, they nearly covered their faces and cried. "How are we supposed to live like this? We gave them some gifts, yet we still suffered such a merciless attack. This is too much." The 4 of them cried out bitterly in their hearts. "First, put the spirit-absorbing pearl away. Don't let others find out about this or it'll attract a disaster," reminded the demon emperor. Kai Shiyue had just received the spirit bead, and after hearing the demon emperor's words, she immediately put it into her space ring, and the surrounding world energy stopped pouring in. Ling Xiao had read about the origin of the spirit-absorbing pearl in an ancient text. It and the secluded water bead were both earth-grade exotic pearls. Although they weren't as high-grade as the innate Yin Wind bead or the demon blue flame bead, they still had extraordinary effects. It originated from the gathering place of the spirit-absorbing beast, and after tens of thousands of years of nurturing, it had the ability to absorb and gather spiritual energy. The amount of spiritual energy it could absorb was several times or even 10 times that of the same place. Having it was equivalent to carrying a small spirit gathering array with you, making cultivation twice the result with half the effort. It was a spirit bead that any cultivator dreamed of obtaining. Even an Empyrean realm powerhouse would want to snatch this spirit-absorbing pearl, which was enough to show how precious it was. The reason why the demon emperor recognized this spirit-absorbing pearl at a glance was because he had once placed one in the spirit-gathering array of the force he belonged to as the eye of the array, making the spirit-gathering array even more extraordinary. Although the four villains had never seen a spirit-absorbing pearl before, they had read about it like Ling Xiao, which was why they had been so envious just now. Ling Xiao saw Xian Yao's sad face and comforted him through voice transmission. "I just want a small pearl from you. You look like a resentful woman who has been abandoned. You're really stingy." That's a spirit-absorbing pearl. Even in the central region, it's rare to see one. How can I not be distressed? How can I cultivate without it? Xian Yao complained. Ling Xiao curled his lips and said, "You're not careful when making friends. This young master gave you the 10,000-year stone emulsion and helped you refine the king pill to help you break through to the king rank, but now you're so resentful for a small pearl. What's more, you took it out yourself and this young master didn't force you. This young master is really sad." Xian Yao's face twitched and his heart was bleeding. How did this Tianji meet such a thick-skinned fellow? "Alas, seeing that your wife likes this pearl so much, I'll help you refine the king rank pill spirit herbs when you get them. Consider it as a trade for this pearl, lest you go around saying bad things about this young master in the future." Ling Xiao sighed. Xian Yao's mood improved a lot when he heard this. Ling Xiao hugged Kai Shiyue and faintly said in her ear, do you still want to continue improving your strength?" The four villains had extraordinary hearing, and Ling Xiao hadn't used the secret ear, so they heard him in an instant. She can continue improving her strength? This is impossible. The four villains cried out in disbelief. In just a few days, Kai Shiyue had reached the peak of the king rank, which could be said to be due to the 10,000-year stone emulsion. Then she had broken through to the emperor rank with the help of Wang Danji. Now that her realm was not stable, how could she continue to break through? Kai Shiyue also felt that Ling Xiao was coaxing her, so she immediately chuckled and said, "Husband, you've done so much for me and I'm already satisfied. You won't ask for anything else." Ling Xiao licked her ear and said, "You're my woman, so it's natural for me to do so much for you. As long as you still want to break through, I'll let you advance another level now, but it might take a little longer to advance in the future." "Is it really okay?" Kai Shiyue asked with a blushing face. "Don't you believe in your husband?" Ling Xiao asked. Kai Shiyue hurriedly said, "Of course I believe in my husband." "That's good. Since there's still some time left, I'll help you advance another level. When we get to Gu City we'll have more protection," Ling Xiao said. Following that, another bottle appeared in Ling Xiao's hand. It was also a crystal-clear pill, but the color and size of this pill were slightly different from the previous King Ji pill. The four villains, Xian Yao and the demon emperor all stared at the pill in the bottle. Ling Xiao opened the bottle cap, and a strong pill fragrance spread out. It's the fragrance of a pill, a 5th-grade pill. This time it was Crazy Taoist who cried out in surprise. Poison Scorpion's eyes also lit up. It's definitely a top 5th-grade pill. The medicinal power is really strong. It might be able to help me reach the peak of the Emperor stage. The ghost hag demon elder also cried out, "Haha, this is too tempting. Brother Ling, can you give it to us? We can exchange anything with you." Ling Xiao glanced at the four of them and said with a faint smile, "This is a metal attribute pill. It's not suitable for you, so don't even think about it." The four of them revealed extremely disappointed looks. "Take it." Ling Xiao handed the pill to Kai Shiyue. Kai Shiyue's delicate hands trembled, and it was obvious that she couldn't hide the ecstasy in her heart. A top 5th-grade pill was enough to make any Emperor stage cultivator go crazy. In the northwest or the southern wasteland, how many alchemists could refine such a high-grade pill? Even if he could refine it, he didn't know how many years it would take to gather all the spirit herbs needed to refine a 5th-grade pill. The pill that Ling Xiao took out was the Emperor Ascension pill that he had obtained from the heaven-suppressing sect in the secret realm. At that time he had obtained a total of 6 pills, 3 top 5th-grade Emperor Ascension pills and 3 top 6th-grade Spirit Sovereign pills. This was a metal attribute Emperor Ascension pill. After Ling Xiao had seen the experts of the southern wasteland, he was eager to increase his chances of survival, and he also wanted to have the strength to fight in Gu City. His current strength was only at the low-level king stage. Perhaps it was quite good for the younger generation, but compared to this group of people in front of him, he was only the lowest level of martial artists, not worth mentioning. Right now he could intimidate the four villains to stand on the same side as him and listen to his orders, but once they exposed his identity, he was afraid that the first person they would deal with would be him. Therefore he had to make himself stronger. Currently, the Demon Emperor seemed to have the strength of a middle-level Earth Emperor, but he could only display the strength of a low-level Earth Emperor. It was all because his attribute did not match the attribute of this body. When it came to a real battle, the Demon Emperor might not be able to help him. But Kai Shiyue was different. She was loyal to Ling Xiao, and could be considered the person he trusted the most at present. He helped her advance to the Emperor stage not only for her sake, but also for his own sake. If Kai Shiyue became stronger, it meant that the strength on his side would also become stronger, which was enough to shock many forces. She advanced one more level just to be on the safe side. There must be some unknown dangers in Goose City that made people call it a forbidden zone for humans. It was enough to show how terrifying it was inside. Only with great strength would there be a chance of survival. Ling Xiao didn't want his woman to die. After taking the Emperor Ascension pill, Kai Shiyue's aura soared. Her cultivation, which had just broken through to the Earth Emperor stage, was quickly consolidated by the powerful energy. Then, her strength went straight to the middle level of the low level and she soon reached the peak of the low level. She was only a step away from stepping into the next stage. A strong golden storm was stirred up around her, causing the surrounding aura to whistle. The people in front stopped again and looked back. Their eyes were wide open, and their mouths were so wide that a large rock could be stuffed in. What the hell is going on? Didn't you just break through to the Earth Emperor stage? Why did you break through again? Everyone was dumbfounded. They couldn't understand what was going on. Could it be that what they saw was an illusion? Rumble. As tens of thousands of golden rays sprinkled down, Kai Shiyue only felt that the barrier that was preventing her from advancing was instantly broken. A comfortable and rich spiritual power flowed around her, causing her to be unable to help but shout, "This feeling is too great." Then she raised her hand and a golden light shot down. Rumble. 100-mile stretch of forest was reduced to dust under her attack. Chapter 406. A mountain range that spanned 100 miles was blasted into smithereens, and a plume of gray smoke rose into the air. The group of flying spirit beasts in the sky instantly stopped, and everyone on top of the spirit beasts stared at the mountain range that had been flattened. What a destructive power. It really is the strength of a mid-stage Earth Emperor. Is this a dream? She just broke through to the Emperor stage and she can advance again? Don't tell me they're playing house? She definitely took a high-grade pill, or else she wouldn't have advanced so easily. Who is helping her? Could it be that young man? It's possible. Otherwise, why would the four great evildoers personally protect her? It's clearly because of that young man. Where did he come from? Everyone discussed in low voices for a while before continuing on their way. They were afraid that if they really angered Danshin's sect, then the trip to Goose City would no longer have anything to do with them. Kai Shiyue threw herself into Ling Zhao's arms and kissed him passionately. The past few days had made her feel like she was dreaming. In just a few short days she had reached a height that others would never be able to reach in their entire lives. This made her ecstatic. She rejoiced in her heart that the luckiest thing in her life was meeting Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao struggled slightly from Kai Shiyue's embrace and revealed a bashful expression. Are there too many people here? Don't be like this, I'll be shy. Xian Yao, who was not far away, heard this and immediately fell off the vulture eagle. Heavens, let a bolt of lightning strike this guy. Xian Yao shouted in his heart. At this time, the four great evildoers came back to their senses, and the way they looked at Ling Xiao was completely different. At first, because they couldn't figure out Ling Xiao's strength, and because of the Blue Jiao Dragon's protection, they temporarily compromised with Ling Xiao and headed to Goose City together, planning to make plans after arriving at Goose City. However, when they saw Ling Xiao take out the 10,000-year stone emulsion, they wanted to curry favor with Ling Xiao and think of a way to exchange for it with other things. However, when they saw Ling Xiao raise a peak king rank expert by 2 ranks in a short few days, they were truly shocked. It was undeniable that this was the effect of the medicinal pill, but they couldn't understand why Ling Xiao had such a top-notch medicinal pill. Even if it was the treasures that they had accumulated for many years, compared to the things that Ling Xiao had taken out, they were really not on the same level. Could it be that he obtained some kind of peerless opportunity? The four of them thought at the same time. This is truly gratifying and respectable. Madame Ling is so young, yet she has already caught up to us who have painstakingly cultivated for hundreds of years. It really makes us feel ashamed. Poison Scorpion said respectfully. The other three followed the wind and set the helm, praising Kai Shiyue endlessly. "Alright, let's hurry up. If we don't leave now, we will be the last to leave," Ling Xiao reminded them. He had already achieved his goal, and it was now up to who would be the first to lose patience and look for him. Another 2 days passed like this and they were getting closer and closer to Gu City. The four great evildoers' thoughts also became more and more active. There was only one bottle of 10,000-year stone emulsion left, and if they didn't think of a way to obtain it, it would probably be difficult for them to have another chance. On the side, Ling Xiao and Kai Shiyue were flirting with each other, and they were very happy. There were still a few days before they arrived at Gu City, and they didn't have the mood to meditate. Ling Xiao secretly exclaimed in his heart, "They really can keep their composure." In the end, the ghost woman and the demon duke couldn't help but speak first. They sat on the twin-headed flying snake and used the secret ear transmission technique to speak to Ling Xiao. "Ha, brother Thousand Faces, can you exchange that bottle of 10,000-year stone emulsion with us? We can exchange it for it at any price." The ghost woman and the demon duke were the weakest among the four great evildoers on the surface, and they were only at the middle stage of the Earth Emperor realm. However, they had incredible secret techniques that allowed them to fight above their realm. Even if they faced a high-level Earth Emperor, they would still be able to fight and even kill them. However, Ling Xiao had the worst and most disgusted impression of the two of them. When they first met in the restaurant, their killing methods were still vivid in his mind. Ling Xiao said indifferently, "What do you have to exchange with me?" Ling Xiao didn't use the secret ear transmission technique to say this, but directly said it in front of everyone. On the side, Poison Scorpion and the Crazy Taoist were very anxious. "You two ugly monsters want to eat it alone? No way." The Crazy Taoist scolded unhappily, then said to Ling Xiao politely, "Brother Ling, give me that bottle of 10,000-year stone emulsion. I can exchange it with my Cosmos bag." Ling Xiao's impression of the Crazy Taoist was much better than that of the Ghost Woman and the Demon Duke. However, this guy had a bad temper and was too arrogant. It was easy for him to offend people. However, his strength was still very strong. He was a high-level Earth Emperor, only slightly weaker than Nangong Lai. In the southern wasteland he was definitely one of the top experts. "Haha, you damn Taoist. That Cosmos sack of yours can only hold people with average strength. What use do you have for it?" The ghost woman retorted. She then turned to Ling Xiao and said, "Brother Ling, we can give you 2 7,000-year-old heavenly snow lotuses in exchange." The heavenly snow lotus was a mid-tier 6th rank ice attribute spirit herb. It had the effect of prolonging life and resurrecting the dead. At the same time, it could increase the purity of the ice attribute and the affinity of the ice attribute spirit chi. It was a rare ice attribute spirit herb. If these 2 heavenly snow lotuses were 10,000 years old, no one would be willing to exchange them for the 10,000-year stone emulsion. Because the ghost woman and the demon duke were of the wood attribute, this heavenly snow lotus was not very useful to them. This was also the reason why they were willing to exchange it. Heavenly snow lotus. Ling Xiao's expression changed slightly. He cultivated several elements at the same time, so this ice attribute spirit herb was quite useful to him. However, he thought that this heavenly snow lotus was more suitable for Bing Ruoshui. "Haha, this heavenly snow lotus is good, but who doesn't know that Brother Ling has a wind attribute physique? What use is this heavenly snow lotus for him? Can it give him an extra life?" The Crazy Taoist laughed disdainfully. As soon as this was said, the ghost woman and the demon duke were immediately embarrassed. The thousand-faced scholar was a well-known wind attribute martial artist. Only high-level wind attribute spirit herbs were useful to him. This heavenly snow lotus was indeed of little value to him. However, they did not know that this thousand-faced scholar was no longer the same thousand-faced scholar. Ling Xiao glanced at the ghost woman and the Crazy Taoist and said, "Your things are indeed good, but it seems that they can't compare to my 10,000-year stone emulsion. If I let others know that I have 10,000-year stone emulsion, I believe that many people will be interested in it. There will be no lack of good things for me to choose. I really can't think of any reason to exchange it with any of you." As soon as this was said, the expressions of the 4 evildoers changed. Ling Xiao's words were indeed correct. This 10,000-year stone emulsion was very rare. If one were to compare its value, it was definitely comparable to a 7th-rank spirit herb. This kind of good thing would definitely be very popular no matter where it was. Just because they couldn't take out something that could be used for exchange didn't mean that others couldn't. The foundations of the other powers were not what they could imagine. Ling Xiao glanced at Poison Scorpion, who had yet to speak, and said faintly, "However, who asked us to be the southern region's 5 evildoers? Although we've never been united, it's still better than being an outsider." At this point, he paused for a moment before continuing, "It's a pity that I only have one bottle of 10,000-year stone emulsion left. As long as any one of you can show some sincerity and take out something that can move my heart, I will definitely give it to one of you. There's still some time before we reach Gu City, so take your time to think about it. I'm not in a hurry." When the four evildoers heard this, they fell silent for a moment. At the same time, they were trying to guess Ling Zhao's intentions. In their hearts, they thought, "Of course you're not in a hurry. You've already used it anyway." There was only one bottle of 10,000-year stone emulsion left, so it would be strange if they weren't anxious. Xin Yao and the Demon Emperor, who were at the side, had a whole new level of respect for Ling Xiao. Only now did they realize that although Ling Xiao was sometimes frivolous, he was also very good at scheming. No one could make him suffer a loss. After a few more days, Gu City gradually appeared in front of them. This was the most central area of the Southern Territory. It was once the most glorious city, and it had the most historical significance of the ancient legends. Gu City covered a very wide area. The Thousand Beast City and Southern Sky City that Ling Xiao had seen before were both huge cities, but compared to this place they were much smaller. The towering walls, the quaint pavilions, the spacious streets, all of them showed that this place was once prosperous and rich. This was also the reason why the others wanted to take this place for themselves. It was such a glorious thing to be able to become an overlord here. Now this huge city was filled with a desolate and dilapidated scene, and the sky was shrouded with an extremely oppressive and heavy feeling. It was as if from the day it was bathed in blood, it had been filled with unwillingness. Countless souls of the Gu clan formed a huge resentment that filled the sky, forming the ancestral curse. All the flying spirit beasts stopped thousands of meters in front of the city. Everyone looked at the dark and oppressive city from afar, and there was an inexplicable sense of fear in their hearts. The reason why this place was called the Southern Wilderness Forbidden Area was that no one who had once entered Gu City could come out again, even the experts of the Earth Emperor stage. Was there a vengeful spirit of the Gu clan inside, or was there an ancestral curse cast by the Gu clan inside? No one knew. They only knew that there had once been two divine objects here, the Heaven Gu Divine Skill and the Heaven Gu Divine Cauldron. These two divine objects were called God, and they were full of temptation no matter where they were. People were like moths flying into a flame, searching for them one after another. With the passing of time, these two divine arts had already been forgotten by the world. However, someone spread the news and made everyone believe that the two great magic arts were still in Gu City. Therefore, all the forces in the southern wasteland gathered in one place, intending to turn the entire Gu City upside down. Even if they couldn't find the two great magic arts, they wanted to reopen Gu City and make it their new territory, their new stronghold. Dan Dao was the strongest in this operation, and everyone knew that he was definitely going for the Heaven Gu Divine Cauldron. After all, he was a rank 6 alchemist, and this divine cauldron was like another life to him. If he obtained the Heaven Gu Divine Cauldron, he would be like a tiger that had grown wings, and his alchemy skills would rise to another level. "Grandmaster Danshan, are we going to enter the city directly?" the Deity Dao Union's Deputy Alliance Master asked. Danshan Dao ignored the Deputy Alliance Master, and his eyes were fixed on the nearby Gu City, his expression extremely focused. Soon after, his expression became extremely unsightly, and cold sweat dripped down from both sides of his forehead. No wonder people who come here can only enter but not leave. "I think I know what's going on," Danshan Dao said faintly. Chapter 407. Danshan Dao's words caused everyone to stare at him in shock. This place had been a forbidden zone for 10,000 years, but he was able to see through it at a glance? A venerable level expert is extraordinary. Everyone exclaimed in their hearts. "Grandmaster Danshan, what's going on?" All the leaders of the factions asked in unison. Danshan Dao frowned. "There are a large number of resentful souls in Gu City." Resentful souls? Everyone was horrified. Resentful souls and souls were two completely different concepts. The soul still had the will and thoughts of the original martial artist, but the resentful soul only had countless resentments left. It no longer had the will and thoughts of the martial artist before death, only the thick resentment before death, bloodlust, cruelty, hatred, anger. As long as it encountered something alive, it would absolutely not let it go. It would definitely entangle that person to death. This was the so-called resentful soul. Normally, after a cultivator died, their soul would dissipate into the world. Only the souls of those at the emperor level and above would be immortal. They would only die if their soul was heavily injured. However, a resentful spirit was different. Normally, a martial artist with a bit of strength would have an obsession in their heart. Even when they died, they would still leave behind a resentful spirit. However, this resentful spirit was only a strand of negative will. It would quickly disappear between heaven and earth. Very few of them could exist in this world for a long time. But now there were a large number of resentful souls in Gu City. What did this mean? Perhaps there was a powerful restriction in Gu City that prevented these vengeful spirits from disappearing, allowing them to stay in Gu City and occupy Gu City, preventing outsiders from disturbing them. Was this the mystery behind why Gu City had been a forbidden zone for 10,000 years? Most people believed Dan Dao's words. After all, only an evil existence like this could force people to enter and never leave. For a moment all the factions were hesitating. Should they enter or not? There were a large number of resentful souls inside. Resentful souls that could kill Earth's sovereign-level cultivators were extremely powerful. These resentful souls only attacked the soul, and didn't have much to do with strength. Everyone's spiritual sea was where their natal soul resided. It was always the weakest part of a cultivator. Once their soul was devoured, even a god wouldn't be able to save them. If you're not afraid of death, then come in. I'll be going in first. Dan Dao ignored the hesitant people behind him and flew into Gu City on his fire phoenix. Everyone looked at the bold and skillful figure, and they were all extremely reverent. The second wave of people to enter were people from the Devil Shadow sect. They didn't even think before following Dan Qin. How can we let such an evil thing live forever? Our divine union will naturally enforce justice on behalf of the heavens, the Divine Dao Union's deputy union master muttered as he led his subordinates in pursuit. Now, only the 4 great clans and a group of rogue cultivators were hesitating. Riches come from danger. Whoever wants to go in, follow me. Nangong Lai said faintly to the individual cultivators who came with him, then glanced at Ling Xiao who was not far away, and flew towards Gu City on the flaming bird. Lai Emperor is right. Since I've come, how can I return empty-handed? I'm going. That's right. What's a mere vengeful spirit? Don't tell me that we can't deal with these filthy things? I'll go in as well. With the Gu race's 2 great divine arts here, I'll be lucky to obtain them, but if I don't, it'll be my fate. At worst I'll just die, but I'll be a man again in 18 years. I'll go too. Those rogue cultivators and mercenaries were all fugitives, and all of them were courageous people. Most of them were provoked by Nangong Lai's words and immediately flew in. Only 3 rogue cultivators who were afraid of death stayed behind. When the people from the 4 great clans saw that most of the people had gone in, how could they embarrass the 4 great clans? Everyone follow me. As long as you're not possessed by the vengeful spirits, there's nothing to fear. The people from the Tang clan were the first to cry out in alarm. The other 3 clans were not willing to fall behind, so they rode their mounts and flew in as well. Now, aside from the 3 rogue cultivators who had left in shame, only Ling Xiao and the others who had yet to enter were left. Haha, these vengeful spirits are the most suitable for us to cultivate. We'll make a move first. The ghost hag and the demon duke practiced the most evil cultivation techniques, so they similarly sensed the large number of vengeful spirits in the city. Their expressions became as excited as if they were possessed. After crying out in alarm, they rode 2 flying snakes and disappeared in front of everyone. They were actually willing to give up the 10,000-year stone emulsion, which showed how important the vengeful spirits in Gu City were to them. Naturally, Ling Xiao was very happy to leave with them because he valued Crazy Taoist and Poison Scorpion more. It would be best if he could subdue them together. However, Poison Scorpion did not move for a long time. Could it be that he was not interested in his 10,000-year stone emulsion? After Crazy Taoist saw that the ghost hag and the demon duke had left, he rubbed his hands and walked in front of Ling Xiao, saying, "Brother Ling, tell me, what do you want me to do in exchange for the supreme grade stone emulsion?" It's actually very simple. Ling Xiao glanced at Crazy Taoist, then glanced at Poison Scorpion and said, "Use your people to exchange for it." Crazy Taoist's expression darkened. "What do you mean?" "It's very simple. Whoever submits to me will be qualified to obtain the 10,000-year stone emulsion," Ling Xiao said very confidently. "Brother Thousand Face, this joke is not pleasant to hear," Crazy Taoist replied gloomily. All along, the 5 evildoers were notorious. No one was stronger than the other, only more hateful and more vicious. They were people who were equally famous in the southern wasteland. If Crazy Taoist subdued Thousand Face Scholar, he would probably be looked down upon and disdained. One had to know that many powers had tried to invite them to be the previous generation's worshippers, but they had never taken them seriously. It was all because they were arrogant and unruly people, so they had always considered themselves as rogue cultivators. Now, Crazy Taoist naturally would not sell himself for the 10,000-year stone emulsion. Poison Scorpion's expression was also not good, but he did not immediately leave. "I'm not joking with you," Ling Xiao said very seriously, then looked at Crazy Taoist and Poison Scorpion and said, "I'm not afraid to tell you that I'm not Thousand-Faced Scholar. I'm Ling Xiao and I only have the strength of a low-level king." "What, you're not Thousand-Faced Scholar?" Crazy Taoist and Poison Scorpion both cried out in shock. They had always thought that Ling Xiao was one of the 5 evildoers, Thousand-Faced Scholar. After all, they had originally agreed to meet in the restaurant for the sake of forming an alliance. At that time, other than the 4 of them, only Ling Xiao dared to sit there. The Thousand-Faced Scholar was known for his ever-changing appearance. He could disguise himself as a man, woman, old or young at any time. Ordinary people would not be able to tell him apart. At that time, the poisonous scorpion emitted a strong poison. Ordinary warriors could not withstand the poison, so he thought that Ling Xiao was the Thousand-Faced Scholar. Moreover, the blue dragon appeared and threw the Crazy Taoist away. They were even more certain that Thousand-Faced Scholar had some fortuitous encounter and had already broken through to the supremacy level. He had also subdued a rank 6 spirit beast, so they did not suspect that Ling Xiao was not the real Thousand-Faced Scholar. Later, on the way to Gu City, they were even more certain of their thoughts. If this young man in front of them was not Thousand-Faced Scholar, with just his low-level king-level cultivation, how could he have a mid-level Earth Emperor as a servant? How could he casually take out a rare jade liquid like the 10,000-year stone milk? How could he casually take out all kinds of high-grade spirit pills? This was obviously impossible, right? They had always thought that Ling Xiao was Thousand-Faced Scholar, but Ling Xiao had personally said that he was not. This made them feel that the world was too crazy. Could it be that they had been sleepwalking all the way here? A low-level king rank expert was able to possess such abnormal reserves and was even able to play around with the 4 of them. This simply drove them to the verge of going mad. "Don't you think it's inconceivable?" Ling Xiao asked, then chuckled and said, "That day when you suddenly came to the restaurant, it really gave me a fright. If it wasn't for Xiaolong's protection, I'm afraid that I would have been killed by you. However, don't think that you can kill me now. First of all, my servant is a mid-level Earth Emperor, and now my woman is also a mid-level Earth Emperor. I also have a rank 6 Flood Dragon to protect me. Of course you can choose to leave now, but I will leave this 10,000-year stone milk for others to enjoy. Oh right, besides the 4th and 5th grade spirit pills, I also seem to have a 6th grade spirit pill called Spirit Sovereign Pill. I don't have any use for that thing, so it would be a waste to leave it with me." You still have Spirit Sovereign Pills? This is impossible. Even Dan Shindao can't refine it. In the southern region, I have never heard of anyone who can refine this kind of top 6th grade spirit pill. Crazy Taoist exclaimed. Poison Scorpion's eyes also became hot, and he faintly said, "I have seen that kind of pill in the Central Region's auction. Every Spirit Sovereign Pill is a pill that all the major forces will fight for. The auction price can be described as sky-high. You really have this kind of pill?" Ling Xiao smiled proudly and said, "If you believe it, then I have it. If you don't, then I don't have it." He had already whetted their appetites. If he could tempt them to follow him, it would be the best. If not, then he wouldn't lose anything. In any case, he had already achieved his goal, and now it was up to them to see who was willing to take the bait. Crazy Taoist and Poison Scorpion both looked deeply at Ling Xiao, and the two fell into silence. Although the 10,000-year stone milk was very tempting to them, it was not enough to make them sell themselves. But now the Spirit Sovereign Pill was different. As long as they had it, it meant that it was very likely that they would step into the ranks of the Venerable Realm. They would become a Venerable Realm that was above 10,000, and their lifespans would also be greatly extended. An Empyrean was a true overlord in this hot land. At that time, even if they established a sect and occupied it, no one would dare to say anything. The pursuit of eternal life and strength had always been a temptation that no martial artist could resist. The two of them were both high-level earthly emperors. Without the Spirit Sovereign Pill, they might be able to cultivate to the perfection of the Monarch Realm one day and try to break through to the Venerable Realm. However, breaking through to the Venerable Realm had always required a great deal of luck and comprehension. Perhaps they would break through overnight, or perhaps they would not be able to reach that step for hundreds of years or even their entire lives. In the end, they would become a cup of yellow soil that would be buried in the long river of history. "Right, I forgot to tell you that I am also a 5th grade alchemist," Ling Xiao said very casually. Chapter 408. No matter where, an alchemist was a highly respected profession. The pills they refined had all kinds of magical effects, such as healing injuries and saving lives, increasing a cultivator's speed, changing a cultivator's physique, and even allowing a cultivator to advance directly. Alchemists were always respected figures on this continent. The higher the rank, the more extraordinary the degree of respect they received. In the northwest or the south, alchemists above the fourth rank were extremely rare, but they would occasionally appear in other places. Fifth-rank alchemists were extremely rare. In the northwest or the south, the number of alchemists above the fifth rank would definitely not exceed the fingers on one hand. They were all big shots of their respective sects and rarely showed their faces. Between these two places, there was only one alchemist who had reached the sixth rank, Danshan Dao. This showed how rare alchemists were and how difficult it was to raise their rank. However, the young man in front of them, who was less than 20 years old, claimed to be a fifth-rank alchemist. This shocked them to the extreme. If an ordinary young man had told them that he was a fifth-grade alchemist, they wouldn't have even thought about it before tearing that young man apart. Then they would have cursed, "Do you think fifth-grade alchemists are cabbages that can be found anywhere?" However, the young man in front of them completely convinced them. Just based on the fact that he could casually take out a high-rank pill and create a middle-stage Earth Emperor in front of them, they had to believe it even if they did not want to. If he was not a fifth-rank alchemist, where did he get the high-rank pill? Even if it was given by the elders of the clan, how precious was this pill? How could it be given away so easily? This showed that he was fearless and did not take the pill seriously at all. With his methods, as long as he had the materials, he could refine it at any time. You only have 15 minutes to consider. After that, we will enter Gu City and our fate will end here, Ling Xiao said indifferently to the two people who were in a daze. He wanted to force the two to make a decision. If they surrendered, it would be the best. If they did not, then it would end here. On the side, Xianyao saw how Ling Xiao was enticing the two high-level Earth Emperors step by step, making them unable to stop. In his heart, his evaluation of Ling Xiao increased by a lot. As expected of the future Holy Emperor. He's worthy of me following him. Xianyao was filled with admiration. On the other side, the Demon Emperor did not notice what Ling Xiao was doing. He only stared in the direction of Gu City, and his expression gradually became frenzied. So many energy remnant souls. Demon Emperor transmitted to Ling Xiao. Don't worry, they're all yours. You won't be able to escape. Ling Xiao knew that the Demon Emperor could devour soul fragments to recover, and he could sense the Demon Emperor's impatience. Forget it, forget it. I, the crazy Taoist, have always been arrogant and arrogant. I have always been free and unfettered. Asking me to submit to a junior like you is really an insult to my dignity. I don't have the fortune to enjoy it. I'm leaving. The crazy Taoist shook his head and looked very determined. He sighed and flew toward Gu City on the back of the Earth Eye Eagle. Watching the crazy Taoist leave, Ling Xiao was very disappointed. A high-level Earth Sovereign Realm cultivator was clearly within reach, but it was gone in the blink of an eye. Can he really resist the temptation? Ling Xiao muttered in his heart. Then he looked at Poison Scorpion and said, "Are you going to make the same choice as him?" The black fan in Poison Scorpion's hand had already stopped swaying, and his expression was very serious. This was a difficult choice for him. Both he and the crazy Taoist were arrogant and unruly people. Their strength was about the same, but he was different from the crazy Taoist. The crazy Taoist had always been arrogant, but he liked to play tricks and poison others. However, facing this young man in front of him, he felt a little ashamed of his inferiority. A low-level king rank expert was actually talking cheerfully and wittily when facing them, and he didn't seem nervous or restrained in the slightest. Moreover, he was advancing step by step in order to entice them to take the bait. Such courage and wisdom were truly not something that an ordinary person could accomplish. You are called the Poison Emperor, so your poison technique must be unparalleled in the world. How about this? I will stand here and let you use any poison you want. As long as you can poison me to death, everything on my body will be yours. They won't be able to do anything to you. But if you can't poison me to death, you will submit to me and serve me as your master for the rest of your life. How about it? Ling Xiao said faintly. Are you serious? Poison Scorpion's eyes lit up. Before Ling Xiao could reply, Kai Shiyue immediately said in a sweet voice, "Absolutely not." Then she stared at Ling Xiao and said seriously, "Husband, the Poison Emperor's poison technique is famous throughout the world. How can you put yourself in danger? With your ability, a lot of people will follow you. It doesn't necessarily have to be the Poison Emperor by your side." Kai Shiyue wholeheartedly leaned towards Ling Xiao. Naturally, she didn't want anything to happen to Ling Xiao. Even if she was asked to die for him, she wouldn't even frown. But if something happened to Ling Xiao, she would definitely die for him. Xian Yao said, "Don't take things too hard. If you really want to test the poison on your body, then first keep your good things for me so that the fat water doesn't flow out." "Get lost," Ling Xiao shouted at Xian Yao angrily. Then he said to Kai Shiyue tenderly, "Don't worry, my husband's life is precious. Ordinary little poisons can't do anything to me." Feeling the confidence in Ling Xiao's eyes, Kai Shiyue's heart gave birth to a blind sense of trust. Her firm belief from a moment ago instantly collapsed. She couldn't help but nod her head and say, "Then you must be careful." Ling Xiao gently pinched her elastic cheek and said to Poison Scorpion, "Come. You have to think carefully. My nickname is not random," Poison Scorpion said doubtfully. He really couldn't understand why Ling Xiao had such great confidence to take his poison. The reason why he was called the Poison Scorpion of the four great evildoers was not undeserved. Once, the supreme elder of a medium-sized family went to the barbarian region with him and seized a high-grade spirit herb that he was about to obtain. In a rage, he chased for tens of thousands of miles and broke into the medium-sized family alone. He poisoned more than 1,000 people in the family to death, including more than a dozen king stage experts and 2 Earth Emperors. Relying on this battle, his name, Poison Scorpion, resounded throughout the southern wasteland. He obtained the title of Poison Emperor and became one of the 5 great evildoers. "Cut the crap. Come on, I'm in a hurry to get into the city." Ling Xiao waved his hand disdainfully at the Poison King. Poison Scorpion said with a gloomy face, "Since you are so confident, then I will let you have a taste of being attacked by 10,000 poisons." After saying that, a strong poisonous gas revolved around his body, and the surrounding air became turbid and black. "You guys retreat first." Ling Xiao became serious and shouted to Kai Shiyue, Xian Yao, and the Demon Emperor. At this time, Poison Scorpion's eyes were red, and his face had turned green. He didn't have the slightest bit of his previous handsomeness. The 4-winged Scorpion King under his feet let out strange hissing sounds of excitement. Its 4 wings were constantly flapping, and its mouth was swallowing dark green scorpion venom. The scorpion beast was one of the most poisonous spirit beasts in the world. Once it came into contact with it, even a king stage expert would immediately turn into nothingness. Even an earthly sovereign wouldn't necessarily have it any better. Now, the poisonous gas that had merged with his beast was the most terrifying scorpion venom of Poison Scorpion. Once the scorpion venom was released, everything within 100 miles would be poisoned. "Enjoy this feast." Poison Scorpion revealed a malevolent smile. Then he spread out his palms and 2 streams of greenish-black mist attacked Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao didn't try to resist or evade. He just let the poisonous mist touch his arms. Sizzle. Just as the poisonous mist touched Ling Xiao's arms, thick corrosive smoke came out, and disgusting poisonous pustules instantly swelled up. The poisonous mist seeped into Ling Xiao's skin and invaded his meridians and internal organs. In the blink of an eye, Ling Xiao's whole body became bloated and terrifying. The poisonous pustules on his skin seemed to be bitten by poisonous scorpions, and a corrosive and poisonous stench soared into the sky, making people feel extremely disgusted. Ling Xiao knew that in addition to his skin and internal organs being attacked, his nervous system was also numbed, and he was gradually losing consciousness. "Husband, you have to hold on." Kai Shiyue couldn't bear to see Ling Xiao in such a miserable state, and she cried out in alarm. Xian Yao also couldn't bear it and turned his face away. Although he had full confidence in Ling Xiao, this kind of extraordinary torture wasn't something an ordinary person could endure. "Don't die," Xian Yao worriedly said in his heart. Only the Demon Emperor on the side didn't say anything, as if he wasn't worried that something would happen to Ling Xiao. "You can't take it anymore, right? Even a peak monarch can't endure this poison, and even a venerable wouldn't dare to touch it, let alone a little monarch like you. Obediently hand over the thing and maybe I can spare your life." Poison Scorpion licked his lips and said confidently. He understood his scorpion's poison better than anyone else, and unless there was a high-level detoxification pill of the 5th rank or above, anyone who tried would only die. Ling Xiao's handsome face had become extremely ugly, even uglier than the ghost woman and the Demon Emperor. Poison Emperor really lives up to his reputation," Ling Xiao said with some difficulty, and then he said, "But that's all." After saying that, Ling Xiao started to expel the poison with all his strength. The ancient Emperor divine art started to circulate at full speed, and the 3 parts restoration chi also helped from the side. The innate Yin wind bead and blue demon fire bead in his sea of consciousness also started to move. The ancient emperor divine art had already reached the 4th transformation, and after absorbing the flood dragon's blood essence, the divine art's effects had been restored. Its recovery ability was monstrous, and with the 3 parts restoration chi self-healing ability, it first healed his internal organs, then his meridians and finally his skin. The innate Yin wind bead absorbed the scorpion's poison's corrosive baleful energy, and the blue demon fire bead emitted extreme yang flames that burned all Yin and poisonous things. A golden dragon phantom appeared behind Ling Xiao, and it shone with a golden light. The supreme imperial aura seemed incomparably noble. The people at the side all felt a sense of worship. Xian Yao couldn't help but exclaim, "Holy? Holy Emperor's aura has already reached the initial stage." The demon emperor, on the other hand, frowned, forcefully suppressing his feelings of admiration. After all, he was once an emperor and wouldn't be easily convinced. Kai Xiaoyu's heart was trembling incessantly, and the love in her heart was becoming stronger and stronger. "My husband is truly mighty." Poison Scorpion clenched his fists tightly, looking at Ling Xiao with an expression of disbelief. "How can he resist my scorpion's poison? This is impossible." Poison Scorpion exclaimed in a daze. Chapter 409. In the sky not far from Gu City, there was the image of a golden dragon that was tens of meters tall roaring, and the supreme might of the dragon was enough to subdue everyone. Under the golden dragon's image, a young man in his 20s was glowing with a golden light. His rotting skin was gradually growing new skin and flesh at a speed that could be seen with the naked eye. The poisonous pus scars were also slowly shrinking and disappearing, and the black poisonous gas was burned into nothingness by the blue flames that were emerging from his body. This is a dual attribute metal and fire cultivator. Poison Scorpion couldn't help but exclaim. He had always been quite confident in his scorpion venom. Even if an Empyrean was hit by his scorpion venom, they would probably have to go through a lot of trouble to force it out of their bodies. Yet Ling Xiao was only a young man in his 20s, and he was only at the low-level king stage. Yet he was actually gradually dispelling his scorpion venom. How could he possibly have such abnormal strength? When he saw that Ling Xiao was a dual attribute metal and fire cultivator, Poison Scorpion was slightly moved. Martial artists who cultivated dual attributes were generally the strongest among those of the same level. However, he still didn't understand how this dual attribute could force his scorpion venom out of his body. What's with that golden dragon image? Could it be because of the high-grade cultivation technique he cultivates? Poison Scorpion guessed. Not long after, Ling Xiao once again restored his handsome face. His skin emitted a bronze-gold color, and he looked extremely sturdy and strong, giving him a noble and domineering temperament. Ling Xiao's body shook, and a small ball of black poisonous gas shot out from his mouth. The poisonous gas was like a startled bird, and it actually fled at an extremely fast speed. Ling Xiao laughed sinisterly, and with a wave of his hand, a blue flame formed into a small dragon that shot towards the poisonous gas. Sizzle. The moment the poisonous gas came into contact with the blue flame, it was immediately incinerated, leaving not a single trace in the air. Ling Xiao sensed his own body and found that there was not a trace of poison left. He smiled at Poison Scorpion and said, "Your poison is not bad, but if you want to take this young master's life, it seems that you are not qualified." Poison Scorpion's face alternated between red and green. He was renowned throughout the southern wasteland as the Poison Emperor, but he never expected that the poison that he was so proud of would be unable to harm a mere king-level martial artist. How could he accept this? Kai Shiyue came to Ling Xiao and asked, "Husband, are you okay?" Looking at the worry and tenderness in Kai Shiyue's beautiful eyes, Ling Xiao held her in his arms, kissed her heavily on the forehead and said, "Of course it's okay. Don't you think about what kind of person your husband is? Husband, you're amazing." Kai Shiyue was infatuated and praised, hugging Ling Xiao tightly, not wanting to let go. Xian Yao had goosebumps as he listened to the two flirting. Hugging like this in the hall in front of so many people, what a scandal. Xian Yao cried out in his heart. "Submit to this young master and your path will be even further. Are you willing to stay in this small southern wasteland?" Ling Xiao stared at Poison Scorpion and said faintly. Poison Scorpion took a deep breath, clenched his fists and finally lowered his proud head, bowed to Ling Xiao and said, "Scorpion greets young master. Scorpion is willing to serve young master as his master." If I have any other thoughts, I am willing to be crippled of my cultivation base and flayed to death. This young master is like a tiger that has grown wings. As long as you are willing to follow this young master can promise you that within 3 years, you will definitely reach the Empyrean level. Ling Xiao was overjoyed. He shouted a few times and flashed to the front of Poison Scorpion to help him up. At this point, Ling Xiao's 5 personal servants had appeared one by one. His 5 personal servants would also follow him and become famous in the future. After subduing Poison Scorpion, Ling Xiao was in a good mood, but he did not immediately give Poison Scorpion the 10 Millennia Stone emulsion. He wanted to wait until he came out of Goose City before giving it to him. After all, Poison Scorpion had just submitted, and entering Goose City would be the first test of his loyalty. If he could not even pass the first test, then what was the point of taking him in? Young master, should we go now? Otherwise, all the good things will be taken by them, Poison Scorpion suggested. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. There's no rush. Goose City has not been attacked for many years. Although the major powers are powerful now, it does not mean that they can take down Goose City so quickly. The resentful souls inside are not easy to deal with. Then young master does not plan to go in? Poison Scorpion asked. Of course not. Let's go to the surface first. I will refine something to guarantee that you will not be affected by the resentful souls when you enter Goose City, Ling Xiao said mysteriously. What kind of thing can be unaffected by the resentful souls? Everyone was puzzled. It had to be known that resentful souls were things that could not be touched or seen clearly. Without a powerful soul perception, it was impossible to catch them. However, since Ling Xiao had said so, he must be confident. Everyone was becoming more and more unclear of Ling Xiao's abilities. Just what did he not know? Ling Xiao, Kai Shiyue, Xian Yao, the Demon Emperor, and Poison Scorpion landed on the peak of a mountain. Ling Xiao opened up a cave and entered it alone. He took out the Millennium Night Pearl to illuminate the cave. These 2 little things have finally come in handy, Ling Xiao muttered. 2 small green balls and a pure and shiny diamond-shaped crystal appeared in his hands. This was the pair of green eyes and demon crystal that Ling Xiao had obtained from killing the illusory demon in the illusory valley of the desolate mountain range. The level of the illusory demon was not high, but it could confuse creatures with souls, make them work for it, or produce all kinds of illusions to harm themselves. Thinking of the thrilling scene where the illusory demon almost broke his brain and ate it, Ling Xiao still felt a chill in his head. After Ling Xiao killed the illusory demon, he kept its green eyes and demon crystal. Later, he looked up the effects of the illusory demon's green eyes and demon crystal in the book Depository Pavilion of the sect. The green eyes could be combined with some high-level spiritual herbs to refine a potion called illusion breaking. As long as this potion was applied to the eyes, it could see through all nothingness for a period of time, and would not be confused by illusions. This potion could also help anyone see the location of the remnant souls between heaven and earth. At this time, Ling Xiao was planning to refine this potion to help the people around him see the location of the resentful souls, so that they could destroy the resentful souls and not be attacked by them. Ling Xiao was already a 5th-grade alchemist, and the spiritual herbs collected in the obsidian cauldron were quite abundant. Concocting the illusion-breaking potion was already a piece of cake. In less than half an hour, the medicinal cauldron was filled with half a cauldron of green liquid. Ling Xiao carefully put it away. He did not need this potion, but in the future the people around him could use it. After all, in some powerful secret realms, there would be illusions and restrictions laid down by powerful martial artists. With this illusion-breaking potion, one could see through all nothingness. After Ling Xiao finished refining the potion, he was not in a hurry to go out. He still wanted to absorb the demon crystal. This demon crystal had an even more powerful effect. It could help him expand his spiritual see, unlock the mysteries of his eyes, and have the illusion-breaking function at all times. This was also the reason why Ling Xiao did not need the potion. The illusory demon's level was not high, but it had a long lifespan. The energy in its demon crystal was extremely pure and vast. At the same time that Ling Xiao absorbed it, he felt that his spiritual see had expanded a lot. The amount of spiritual liquid in it had directly doubled, reaching more than 1,000 drops, forming a small pool of spiritual liquid that occupied a quarter of his spiritual see. Ling Xiao felt that his spiritual state was incomparably good. With a slight sweep of his divine sense, even the slightest movement of grass within a radius of several thousand meters could not escape his senses. At the same time, his eyes began to change. As long as he focused his eyes, a faint green light appeared on his eyeballs, and his vision became extremely clear. Even the tiny reptile in the corner was clearly seen by him. He seemed to be able to see things under the surface of the ground as well. It was as if his eyes had an additional function of X-ray vision. This magical? Ling Xiao exclaimed. Next, he tried to see through the layers of obstacles on the mountain wall to see what he could discover. However, he found that this X-ray function was very limited. He could only see less than a meter before he couldn't see through it. My goodness, could this be the legendary X-ray eyes? Then wouldn't this young master be rich? Ling Xiao excitedly rubbed his hands and muttered his guess. Ling Xiao was right. His eyes had now changed. He had absorbed the illusory demon's demon crystal and already possessed most of the functions of the illusory demon's green eyes. However, his eyes could not be called X-ray eyes. It would be more appropriate to call them green pupils. In addition to being able to see through all nothingness, the green pupils also had the X-ray ability to see through the essence of everything. Ling Xiao packed up everything in the cave and walked out of the cave in high spirits. The four people immediately surrounded him. Ling Xiao took the opportunity to look at Kai Shiyue. His eyes were suffused with a faint green light. His vision directly penetrated the clothes Kai Shiyue was wearing, and he saw the white jade, smooth and delicate skin, as well as the towering virgin peaks and the mysterious black fragrant grass. Ling Xiao's nose bleed uncontrollably. Husband, what's wrong? Kai Shiyue stepped forward and asked with concern. Ling Xiao shook off his eyes and diverted his attention. He wiped the blood from his nostrils and said, I just concocted medicine and my heat rose a little. Don't worry. Heavens, you finally opened your eyes and gave this young master something good. With this function, which beauty can escape this young master's peach blossom eyes? Ling Xiao thought proudly in his heart. Brother Ling, your eyes just now seemed a little different? Xian Yao noticed that Ling Xiao's eyes were different and asked with some worry. What difference could there be? It's just that my eyes are a little more charming than others, Ling Xiao said with a wave of his hand. He then took out 4 small bottles and handed them to everyone. This is the destruction potion. With it, you can see those resentful spirits and eliminate them without letting them get close. This way, you won't need to be haunted by resentful spirits when you enter the city. This is a good thing. I didn't expect you to be able to refine it. If this small bottle were to be auctioned in the central region, who knows how many people would fight over it, Xian Yao said excitedly as he received the potion. That's right, this potion is extremely precious. The Demon Emperor also agreed. Ling Xiao didn't have time to study the value of this potion. He already had the green pupils, so this potion wasn't worth mentioning. Let's go. I believe they've been waiting anxiously, Ling Xiao said and took the lead to fly towards Gu City. Chapter 410. Gu City was a city with a long history. It had existed for who knew how many tens of thousands of years. Although it had lost its former glory, it was still famous. Countless people in the southern wasteland wanted to reopen this ancient city, but they still returned without success. Instead, they were forever left in the city, becoming resentful souls. When Ling Xiao's group arrived in the sky above Gu City, a strong sense of oppression assaulted their hearts. Other than Ling Xiao, the other 4 had already applied the illusion-dispelling potion. They could all see the countless resentful souls shrouding the city. The malevolent remnant souls were extremely frightening. They looked at the tens of thousands of resentful souls and felt their scalps go numb. Back then, the bloodline of the Gu race was almost wiped out. The city must have been filled with rivers of blood and corpses. Otherwise, it wouldn't have become such an ominous place. Xian Yao's eyes were filled with indignation as he muttered, his expression filled with indescribable sorrow. Back then, the Gu race was so powerful that even they were wiped out. It's enough to show how powerful the people from the central region are, Poison Scorpion said from the side. Unless we can kill all the resentful souls here, it will be difficult for Gu City to reappear, Kai Shiyue said. Let's go down. This place is even more terrifying than what we imagined. You must be careful. Don't get entangled by these resentful souls, Ling Xiao reminded them and was the first to descend from the sky. Behind him, the Demon Emperor revealed a greedy expression. He transmitted to Ling Xiao, Young Master, I want to absorb them. Go, just don't get devoured by them, Ling Xiao replied. The Demon Emperor laughed heartily after receiving Ling Xiao's consent. He flew towards the place with the most resentful souls. What is Young Master doing? Poison Scorpion asked in confusion. Don't mind him, Ling Xiao replied indifferently. The group finally landed on the ground. As soon as they landed, dozens of resentful souls turned into ghostly faces and pounced at them. Whoosh! You're courting death. Poison Scorpion was eager to show off. He formed a poisonous mist in his hand and attacked the resentful souls. However, not only did the vengeful spirits not destroy the vengeful spirits, they became even more vicious instead. Resentful spirits are afraid of fire and light. Your poisonous gas is useless against them, Xianyao said as a pure multicolored light appeared in his hand. Swoosh! The pure multicolored light pierced through the resentful souls. Before the resentful souls could escape, they were all turned into nothingness. Don't worry about it. We're not here to exterminate these resentful spirits. Hurry up and find the place where the Gu clan sacrificed their Gu, Ling Xiao said. His entire body was covered in a blue flame, making it difficult for the evil aura to enter his body. He didn't want to waste time here. Finding the Heaven Gu divine technique was the most important thing. Rosy clouds, moon and golden clouds covered her body. She was incomparably beautiful as she followed closely behind Ling Xiao. Xianyao, on the other hand, was shining with a white light, like a white jade without any glow. No evil could attack his body. Poison Scorpion had an evil nature and the demonic energy in the air had become his nourishment. At the same time, he had a high-leveled fire attribute profound weapon in his hand, which was enough for him to disperse those vengeful spirits that were flying towards him. The group didn't go far before countless resentful spirits chased after them one after another. If they hadn't applied the hallucinogen dispelling potion, they would have died countless times. Poison Scorpion secretly felt lucky that he had followed Ling Xiao. Otherwise he wouldn't even know what was going on when he came here. They didn't go far when Ling Xiao stopped and shouted in surprise, "Who is it? Come out." Rosy Clouds, Xianyao and Poison Scorpion were shocked. They only cared about exterminating the resentful spirits and didn't know that someone was following them. A figure emitting an intense fiery glow leaped out from behind a building. "Senior Nangong!" Ling Xiao exclaimed when he saw the person. The one following them was Nangong Lai. "Master Ling, you actually don't show your true appearance. You actually have a secret method to see through the resentful spirits. This old man will go with you," Nangong Lai said while cupping his hands. Ever since he knew that Ling Xiao was a 5th-grade alchemist, he didn't dare to consider himself a senior. Instead he looked at Ling Xiao as someone of the same level. "With Senior Nangong accompanying me, Ling Xiao couldn't ask for more," Ling Xiao replied. He then took out a bottle of potion and handed it to Nangong Lai, saying, "Senior Nangong, if you apply it, you can see where the resentful spirits are. This way you won't be afraid of being attacked by the resentful spirits." When they were going to the southern wasteland, Nangong Lai had taken good care of Ling Xiao, so this bottle of potion could be considered to be of some help to Nangong Lai. Nangong Lai was overjoyed. He thought to himself, this kid really has a plan to deal with it. After he applied the potion, he saw countless resentful spirits and was overjoyed. He then cupped his hands and thanked Ling Xiao. "Thank you, Master Ling, for the gift." Just now he had been using fire to protect his body, so ordinary resentful spirits didn't dare to approach him. However, he knew that there were probably even more powerful resentful spirits in Gu City, so he didn't dare to go in and waited for Ling Xiao's arrival. Before coming to Gu City, he felt that Ling Xiao should have come prepared, and now it seemed that he was right. With Nangong Lai's help, the resentful spirits along the way were all destroyed. These resentful spirits were just ordinary resentful spirits, so they didn't pose much of a threat. "There's someone in front." Ling Xiao frowned as he sensed the fluctuations of life in front of him. The group quickened their pace and sure enough, they saw a few rogue cultivators rolling on the ground with their heads in their hands, screaming non-stop. "They've already been devoured by the resentful spirits," Nangong Lai said softly. He raised a raging fire in his hand and killed the few people along with the resentful spirits. "I wonder how many people are still alive after this trip." Xianyao sighed. At this time a scream came from another direction. "Elder Lai, save me." "Oh no, it's someone from my Nangong family," Nangong Lai immediately exclaimed when he heard the voice. He didn't care about Ling Xiao and the others and rushed in the direction of the voice. "Should we go and have a look?" Kai Shiyue asked. "Let's go. Senior Nangong can solve it," Ling Xiao replied calmly. Although the resentful spirits here were fierce, Nangong Lai could already see them, and it was enough for him to destroy them one by one. Ling Xiao and the others had only taken a few steps when they found a few corpses on the ground. Judging from their clothes, they should be from the 4 great families. "It seems that they're going to be completely annihilated this time," Ling Xiao said calmly. He didn't care about the life and death of others. He only cared about whether he could find the Heaven Goo magic skill. I wonder where the Pill Grandmaster is? I really hope that he, a level 6 Grandmaster, doesn't die here. Poison Scorpion sighed softly. Although Poison Scorpion was one of the 5 great villains, he also respected Danshan Dao's powerful cultivation and his identity as an alchemist. After all, both of them were from the southern region, and they had their own pride and mentality. At this moment they heard a strange cry. Haha, what a powerful resentful spirit. Obediently come and accept your death. It's Ghost Woman and the Demon Duke. Poison Scorpion shouted. Let's go and take a look. Ling Xiao sensed a powerful soul fluctuation over there. It seemed that those terrifying resentful spirits were really powerful. He also wanted to see how Ghost Woman and the Demon Duke would subdue these resentful spirits. When they arrived, they saw that the scepter in Ghost Woman's hand was emitting a demonic evil green light, and the Demon Duke's broken eye was also emitting a strange light. In front of them was a seemingly solid phantom. This phantom was dressed strangely, and its eyes were extremely cold. It was holding a cold and elegant scimitar. A condensed resentful spirit. Xian Yao couldn't help but exclaim. What a powerful soul. This guy must have been a terrifying existence when he was alive. Ling Xiao frowned. He was an expert in spiritual power, and his perception of soul power was unparalleled. This condensed resentful spirit probably had the strength of a peak Earth Emperor. It was no longer like other resentful spirits that only knew how to attack and devour one's consciousness. It could even attack as if it had a life of its own. It was one of the most terrifying types of resentful spirits. The Ghost Woman and the Demon Duke weren't afraid of this resentful spirit at all. Instead, they were extremely excited. The skull on Ghost Woman's scepter emitted a green light that shot straight at the resentful spirit. The Demon Duke's hands actually turned into inhuman claws that pounced at the resentful spirit. The resentful spirit lightly stomped its feet, and the scimitar in its hand turned into countless blade lights that blocked the skull's green light and sealed off the Demon Duke. At the same time, it also displayed an incomparably powerful blade skill to fight the Ghost Woman and the Demon Duke at the same time. This resentful spirit still retained some of its will from when it was alive. It was probably at least a venerable in the past, Xian Yao sighed. That's right. If it was allowed to absorb more living souls, I'm afraid that one day it will evolve into something even more terrifying, Poison Scorpion replied. Stop sighing. We've been surrounded, Ling Xiao said solemnly as he glanced around. As soon as he finished speaking, 4 figures appeared not far away from them. When the 4 phantoms appeared, the ordinary vengeful spirits immediately fled. These 4 resentful spirits were dressed similarly to the resentful spirit that was fighting the Ghost Woman and the Demon Duke. They also wielded scimitars and charged towards Ling Xiao and the others. If they couldn't see these figures, even a celestial venerable wouldn't be able to withstand the attacks of 4 resentful spirits that were comparable to peak Earth Emperors. No wonder this place was a forbidden zone for humans. Poison Scorpion took the lead and raised his fire-type sword to attack one of the resentful spirits. However, the resentful spirit seemed to have a life of its own. It quickly floated away and dodged his attack, and the scimitar in its hand slashed towards the back of his head. Poison Scorpion's strength was extraordinary. He immediately raised his sword to block the attack, and the sword forced out waves of raging flames to burn the resentful spirit. Unfortunately, the attribute of Poison Scorpion's profound artifact did not match, and he couldn't display the strength that he should have. He was being attacked by the resentful spirit. On the other side, Kai Shiyue protected Ling Xiao by her side. Her entire body emitted a powerful golden light, and the horsetail whisk in her hand emitted waves of golden light as she fought with a resentful spirit. Xian Yao's strength was the lowest, but he released the purest light attribute attack. He could temporarily prevent one of the resentful spirits from getting close to him, but he was almost unable to withstand the resentful spirit's attack. Xian Yao waved the white paper fan in his hand, and white butterflies entangled with each other as they flew towards the resentful spirit. The resentful spirit growled and smashed the butterflies with its scimitar. The scimitar then bravely slashed towards Xian Yao's head. The resentful spirit's strength was terrifying. It no longer cared about the repulsion of the light attribute and wanted to kill Xian Yao in one fell swoop. Xian Yao looked at the scimitar in front of him and broke out in a cold sweat. He exclaimed, "My life is over." At that moment, a blue flame took the form of a fire dragon and burned towards the resentful spirit. The resentful spirit panicked. It actually stopped its scimitar attack and immediately retreated. Chapter 4:11. The heavenly fire was an extreme yang fire that could burn everything in the world. The vengeful spirits had already condensed into phantoms, but what they feared the most was this kind of extreme yang fire. Once touched, even the most powerful vengeful spirit would be burned to ashes. Xian Yao wiped his cold sweat and said with lingering fear, "I knew this god wouldn't be a short-lived person." Ling Xiao shouted from the side, "If you don't come over, you won't be able to die even if you have 10 lives." Xian Yao didn't dare to be careless and hurried to Ling Xiao's side. He looked at the strange blue flame in Ling Xiao's hand and swallowed his saliva. It's actually a heavenly fire. You swindler, your knowledge is extraordinary." Ling Xiao glanced at Xian Yao, then controlled the 2 balls of heavenly fire to attack the vengeful spirits that were fighting against Kai Shiyue and Poison Scorpion. When the vengeful spirits encountered the heavenly fire, they immediately fled far away like frightened rabbits. No wonder so many people came in but none of them came out. Just these few vengeful spirits are enough to dominate the southern region, Poison Scorpion said with emotion. Kai Shiyue had just stepped into the middle stage of the Earth Emperor realm and was almost unable to deal with the vengeful spirit. She immediately patted her chest and said, "That's right. Although they can't make any elemental attacks, they have the sword skills from when they were alive. It's really hard to guard against. Don't be afraid. With me here they can't hurt you," Ling Xiao said confidently. When Poison Scorpion heard this, he felt his face heat up. He was a dignified high-stage Earth Emperor and a servant, but he couldn't do his best to protect his master. Instead, he was being protected by others. He was truly ashamed. At this time, a second phantom vengeful spirit appeared on the side of the Ghost Hag and Demon Duke. 2 against 2, the Ghost Hag and Demon Duke were forced into a dangerous situation. "Hey, soul-sucking technique." The Ghost Hag let out a strange cry and slapped the scepter skeleton with her withered old palm. The skeleton immediately left the scepter and flew into the air, emitting a powerful suction force. The nearby vengeful spirits involuntarily flew towards the skeleton. One of the condensed vengeful spirits raised a scimitar and slashed at the skeleton. The demon hag took the opportunity to swallow some blood from her mouth and smear it on the skeleton. When the skeleton was stained with blood, its demonic eyes seemed to come back to life. 2 deep red and green beams of light shot out and collided with the phantom vengeful soul. Whoa! When the resentful spirit touched the scarlet-green light, it immediately let out a miserable cry, and the phantom image instantly dissipated. The ghost hag's palms continuously formed mysterious hand seals, binding the phantom. The skeleton once again displayed a powerful suction force, sucking the phantom into it. "Oh, my darling is so full." Ghost Matron immediately grabbed the skeleton in her hand and shouted in joy. The other elder demon had already transformed into a humanoid monster. His strength had actually reached the high-level earthly sovereign realm, and he was evenly matched with the vengeful spirit. "Wuha, I'll help you," cried the ghost woman and immediately rushed over to help the demon duke. This is their paradise. However, I wonder how many powerful vengeful spirits they can deal with? Ling Xiao had never been fond of the ghost matron and the demon duke. He did not want to pay any more attention to them, so he immediately left after speaking to the group. When the few vengeful spirits saw Ling Xiao leave, they did not dare to follow. They seemed to be very afraid of the heavenly flame in Ling Xiao's hand. Helpless, they could only change their target and charge towards the ghost matron and the demon duke. As Ling Xiao and his group continued on their way, they encountered a few more corpses. Looking at their expressions when they died, it was clear that all of them were filled with terror. Among these corpses were loose cultivators and people from the 4 noble clans. However, they did not find anyone from the Demon Shadow sect or the Deity Dao Union. There are so many vengeful spirits gathered here. There must be something ominous here. It is definitely not that simple. Xian Yao pinched his fingers and said with a frown. Poison Scorpion looked at Xian Yao with some astonishment, then said indifferently, "There are so many powerful vengeful spirits here, and they are still not ominous? Could there be something even scarier than them?" Poison Scorpion's eyes were filled with disbelief. After all, he felt that Xian Yao was too young. How capable could he be? Poison Scorpion's heart was filled with disdain. Ling Xiao ignored the two. Instead, he sent a voice transmission to the Demon Emperor and asked, "What's the situation?" The Demon Emperor did not reply. It was as if he had lost contact with him. Ling Xiao had a bad feeling. Could he have been devoured by the vengeful spirits? We can't let this go on. We have to find the place where the Gu race sacrificed their Gu as soon as possible. Ling Xiao muttered with a frown. Then he said to the people behind him, "Follow me closely." After he said that, the blue flames around him burned even brighter. Everything within a few meters was dyed fiery red. Ling Xiao took the lead and flew up, and the others followed closely behind. Ling Xiao's spiritual sense kept searching the city, trying to sense where the most intense vengeful spirits were. He felt that this was where the Gu race sacrificed their Gu. As Ling Xiao and the others took off, a large number of vengeful spirits swarmed towards them. As Ling Xiao flew, he sent out countless fiery palms to incinerate the vengeful spirits. The deeper they went into the city, the more vengeful spirits there were. It was as if there was no end to them. Everyone was shocked. Just how many people had died in Gu City back then? Ling Xiao thought to himself, thank goodness I have the heavenly fire. Otherwise I would have really died. Ling Xiao did not understand why the high priestess had not explained the situation to him before coming to Gu City. Could it be that the high priestess had deliberately sent him here to die? Ling Xiao shook his head and cast aside all distracting thoughts before continuing forward. All of a sudden, a powerful soul force rippled, and an imposing figure appeared in front of everyone. This person did not have the slightest trace of life aura, only a dense bloodthirst and resentment. His blood-red eyes were very frightening, and he held a pair of sharp curved blades in his hands, blocking in front of everyone. Poison Scorpion couldn't help but exclaim, a vengeful spirit. Everyone's expressions changed. The vengeful spirit in front of them was very different from the previous ones. Its body was no longer an illusory image, but was no different from a real body. This was definitely an overlord among vengeful spirits. Get out of my way. Ling Xiao used his firmament palm, and blue flames burned towards the powerful vengeful spirit. However, when the flames reached it, the vengeful spirit disappeared. Where did it go? Everyone was puzzled. With his extraordinary senses, Ling Xiao immediately turned around and cried out, it's behind you. Dodge. The vengeful spirit silently appeared behind them, and its scimitars unleashed an extremely sharp blade intent. Poison Scorpion and Rosy Dawn Moon hurriedly turned around and used powerful techniques to block it. Rumble. The two of them were sent flying by the vengeful spirit, and they both spat out blood at the same time. The vengeful spirit slashed towards Xian Yao. Xian Yao's expression changed drastically, and an ordinary-looking mirror instantly appeared in his hand. Whoosh. Xian Yao poured spiritual energy into the mirror, and a pure and flawless light shone towards the vengeful spirit. Sensing the annoying light attribute aura, the vengeful spirit repeatedly slashed with its scimitars, unleashing an extremely powerful blade intent, and the light dispersed. Xian Yao repeatedly urged the divine light to shine on the vengeful spirit, and for a moment, the vengeful spirit actually managed to block it. However, he had also consumed a lot of energy, and his complexion had become extremely pale. At this time, Ling Xiao had already protected Rosy Dawn Moon and Poison Scorpion together. Seeing that Xian Yao was almost unable to hold on any longer, he had no choice but to use his trump card. I'll let you have a taste of my power, Ling Xiao said in a deep voice. Then, waves of invisible psychic power emerged from between his eyebrows, and the psychic power turned into countless blade shadows that attacked the vengeful spirit. The vengeful spirit broke through Xian Yao's divine light, and its scimitars slashed towards Xian Yao's head. At this moment, the invisible blade light cut the vengeful spirit's body into pieces. Whoosh. The vengeful spirit was severely injured for some reason, and it let out a shrill scream. This vengeful spirit was also very powerful. After suffering a heavy injury, it could still gather together and prepare to reassemble its body. However, a blue flame completely refined it between heaven and earth. At this time, Xian Yao fell from the sky powerlessly. Ling Xiao waved his hand and a gentle force supported him, not letting him fall in pain. Not dead, right? Ling Xiao called out. No. Not dead, just a little exhausted, Xian Yao replied with difficulty as he lay on the ground. It's good that you're not dead. I'll protect you, so hurry up and recover, Ling Xiao replied. He was puzzled in his heart. What was that small mirror just now? It could actually exhaust his spiritual power. Could it be a high-grade spirit artifact? I'll think of a way to get it next time. Poison Scorpion and Rosy Dawn Moon had only forcefully clashed with the vengeful spirit, and both of them had suffered internal injuries. Xian Yao had overexerted himself, and all three of them needed to take medicinal pills to heal. Ling Xiao set up a restriction made of heavenly fire to protect the three of them, and he once again called for the Demon Emperor. Unfortunately, there was still no response. Ling Xiao sat down cross-legged, and his divine sense swept out in all directions. He discovered that there were still many powerful vengeful spirits here, and at the same time, he sensed that many life auras were gradually diminishing. Suddenly, when his divine sense reached a certain place, a sharp pain forced him to withdraw his divine sense. Ling Xiao's eyes shone brightly as he looked at the tallest building and muttered, "There's a restriction isolating it. It should be in that direction." An hour later, Poison Scorpion and Rosy Dawn Moon had both recovered 70% of their battle strength. They all secretly exclaimed that this vengeful spirit was too terrifying. Although an Empyrean vengeful spirit couldn't display the power of a true Empyrean, it was still too much for them to handle. Xian Yao's energy was replenished and he was fine. "Let's go. The place we're looking for should be over there." Ling Xiao pointed to a building not too far away. Everyone looked at that building and saw that it was like a huge goo insect beast, emitting a dense, sinister, and ferocious aura. After the four advanced for a while, they saw a few corpses with hoods draped over their heads and a few corpses wearing the deity Dao Union's uniform. Clearly, these two sects had not been able to survive among these vengeful spirits. Many of their people had died as well. After advancing for a while, they saw the people of the Demon Shadow sect and the deity Dao Union gathered together, each taking out a strong spirit equipment to protect their own people. Two solid figures blocked their way. Clearly they were also venerable level vengeful spirits. Around the two venerable level vengeful spirits were many ordinary vengeful spirits. These vengeful spirits are too scary. Let's get out quickly. Otherwise we'll die, Rosy Dawn Moon said worriedly. No, even if we have to turn this place upside down, I must find the heavenly goo divine art, Ling Xiao said resolutely. Chapter 412. The leader of the Demon Shadow sect had a square black shield in his hand. The shield flickered with a dense black fog, protecting the Demon Shadow sect's people from the invasion of resentful spirits. This black shield was a medial grade rank 6 spirit tool. Its defense was extremely shocking. Unless one was a venerate or above, they would not be able to break through the layers of black fog. As for the deity Dao Union's side, the Vice Alliance Master used the medial grade rank 6 spirit tool, the blue lotus ring, in his hand. Many spirited blue lotus flowers formed a strong barrier in the surroundings, keeping those resentful spirits at bay. However, their situation did not look good. The two resentful spirits attacked their defenses, shaking the two leaders who were activating their spirit tools to the point where they could not hold on any longer. Just at this moment, a disciple behind the Demon Shadow sect leader took out a small lantern. This lantern looked very ancient, and the lantern emitted a dense evil aura. That disciple tossed the ancient lantern at the venerate resentful spirit and formed many complicated hand seals. He shouted, "Spirit gathering lantern, collect." The ancient lantern released clumps of black fog that enveloped the venerate resentful spirit. In an instant, the ancient lantern absorbed most of the soul energy of the venerate resentful spirit. The venerate resentful spirit was startled and quickly tried to escape. That disciple circulated his spiritual energy again, maximizing the power of the ancient lantern. Whoosh! Before the venerate resentful spirit could escape, it was collected by the ancient lantern. What spirit tool is this? It can actually absorb the soul of a venerate. Poison Scorpion exclaimed in shock. Spirit gathering lantern, I did not expect the Demon Shadow sect to find such an evil weapon, Xian Yao muttered. What is a spirit gathering lantern? Ling Xiao asked. It is a rank 7 inauspicious weapon that can absorb all the souls in the world. It gathers all the souls it absorbs together and finally extracts them to feed back to its owner, strengthening the owner's soul power, Xian Yao explained. It has such a wondrous effect? Ling Xiao was startled. Then he focused his green pupils and looked at the cloaked Demon Shadow sect disciple. It's actually him. Ling Xiao exclaimed. Who is it? Kai Sheyue asked. He's just a prisoner. I didn't expect him to be so powerful. Ling Xiao revealed a worried expression. He had used his green eyes to see the appearance of the Devil Shadow sect disciple. It was the prisoner who had escaped from his hands in the Flame Valley. At that time, Ling Xiao was only a high-level mystic cultivator, and that Spectre Shadow sect disciple seemed to be only a high-level spiritual master or half a step to the king level. Yet now he was already at the high rank of the king rank, and such a speed of advancement was truly shocking to the extreme. If he continued to grow at this rate, it would be a great disaster for the Purple Heaven sect in less than a few decades. I have to get rid of him. Ling Xiao made up his mind. At the same time, on the deity Dao Union's side, The Vice Alliance master took out another sword technique spirit tool and killed the resentful spirit on his side. The foundations of these two sects are indeed extraordinary, Poison Scorpion said with a sigh. The people of the Demon Shadow sect and the Deity Dao Union did not stop, continuing forward. Just as Ling Xiao and the others were about to follow, a cry of alarm came from the other side. Young master, quickly run. This is not a place to stay for long. Ling Xiao looked to the side and saw an old man surrounded by flames. He was protecting a low-level king stage young man who was less than 30 years old as they ran away. The young man's face was slightly pale. He held a flaming sword in his hand and waved it around. Streams of powerful flames spread out. He wore a set of Crimson Guard armor that burned and blocked the vengeful spirits that were about to pounce on him. It was obvious that the fire sword and armor in the young man's hands were both spirit tools. It's someone from the Tang clan. Only the Tang clan's young master is so rich. Poison Scorpion licked his lips, revealing his greedy nature. The Tang clan was an aristocratic clan of the southern wasteland, and they had produced a few 6th-rank blacksmiths in the past. Now, Old Master Tang was also a 6th-rank blacksmith, and only their clan did not lack spirit tools. The young man in front of them was definitely an important descendant of the Tang clan. Otherwise, why would he bring 2 spirit tools with him to Gu City? Elder Jean, if we leave together. Take this fire Qilin sword and kill our way out with me. The young man was clearly not a heartless person. Even in such a dangerous situation, he was still able to fight shoulder to shoulder with his companions. The old man clenched his teeth and said, "No, without the fire Qilin sword, you will be in even more danger. I'll protect you for a while." The old man gave it his all, and a powerful flame burned the surrounding dozens of meters red, making it difficult for the resentful spirits to get close. The young man followed behind the old man and continuously waved his fire sword, slashing and attacking blindly. Suddenly, the old man saw that Ling Xiao and the others were safe and sound, and he immediately called out to Ling Xiao, "Little brother, please save my young master's life. My Tang clan will repay you generously." The old man recognized Ling Xiao. On the way here, the 4 great villains had been extremely obedient to him, and now that Poison Scorpion was still by his side, it could be seen that he was definitely not an ordinary person. "What can the Tang clan give me?" Ling Xiao asked indifferently. "As long as you are willing to escort me and Elder Jean out, the 2 spirit tools on me will belong to you," the Tang clan young master immediately replied. "No, you just need to escort my young master out. My old bones can still hold on," the Tang clan elder said. "Elder Jean, there is no need to say anything more. If you let me escape alone, then wouldn't I, Tang Gangling, be a heartless and unjust person?" The Tang clan young master said sonorously. "You child?" The Tang clan elder was moved by the Tang clan young master's words to the point that his eyes reddened. "To be honest, we are not going out yet. Instead, we are going in. This is for you. Rub some on your eyes. Whether you can leave or not will depend on your luck," Ling Xiao said. Then he tossed a bottle of hallucinogen to the Tang clan young master and flew towards the Jade Tower without looking back. His impression of the Tang clan's 2 young masters was not bad. The master and servant were loyal. This was what a true man should do. That was why he had helped them this once. If they were the kind of heartless and unjust people, Ling Xiao would not be bothered to care about them. In front of the tallest Jade Tower in the city was a wide plaza. There were already many people fighting with powerful resentful spirits in the plaza. The Devil Shadow sect and the Deity Dao Union had 10 people and 8 people left respectively. Nangong Lai had also arrived with 2 monarchs. There was also a figure that Ling Xiao was familiar with. It was the crazy Daoist. He had also appeared here with his own abilities. There were more than 10 venerable resentful spirits in the plaza, as well as dozens of illusory resentful spirits and countless ordinary resentful spirits. With so many resentful spirits, they should have been able to devour and kill all 20 people. However, there was an imposing fiery figure in the plaza, dealing with most of the resentful spirits. This figure was Danshan Dao, who was riding on a fire phoenix. He rode on the fire phoenix, occasionally shooting out a thick brown flame from his palm, burning those powerful resentful spirits. Although these resentful spirits were strong, Danshan Dao was also a venerable. Furthermore, he was using the earth-ranked serene brown flame. Only then did he manage to suppress these resentful spirits. The serene brown flame was one of the top 36 earth-ranked flames. Although it could not compare to a heavenly flame, it was still an extremely powerful yang flame. It was a flame that alchemists dreamed of. "Let's help Grandmaster Dan," the Deity Dao Union's Vice Alliance master shouted. The spirit sword in his hand released a powerful elemental attack towards the resentful spirits. The others made their moves at the same time, using long-range attacks to attack the resentful spirits. The Devil Shadow Sect disciple holding the spirit convening lamp also quietly shot it out, absorbing the spiritual energy of the powerful remnant spirits. Let's make our move as well. Otherwise we won't be able to get close to the pavilion, Ling Xiao said. At this moment Xin Yao said to Ling Xiao, the great ominous object is inside. Be careful. Don't worry, divine scoundrel. This young master is very lucky, Ling Xiao replied. He took out a powerful heavenly flame and entered the fray. With these resentful spirits blocking the path of the pavilion, they had no choice but to fight. Wherever Ling Xiao's heavenly flame went, those resentful spirits screamed and fled. Many of them disappeared the moment they came into contact with the flames. Ling Xiao's forceful entry into the fray attracted everyone's attention. They hadn't expected a low-level king stage cultivator to be even more ferocious than them monarchs. They couldn't understand what was going on. Danshan Dao glanced at Ling Xiao. He didn't care much at first, but when he sensed that blue flame, his expression became incomparably fervent. Could this be the legendary heavenly flame? That's impossible. He's so young. How can he subdue a heavenly flame? Danshan Dao said in disbelief. Ling Xiao ignored everyone's gazes and quickly formed hand seals. 2 blue flood dragons appeared in his hands. Not long ago when he fought with Gu Ba in Nantian City, Ling Xiao thoroughly understood that an alchemist's fire control technique could also be used to unleash powerful attacks. The 2 blue flood dragons in his hands soared out under his control. The flood dragons roared and the flames intensified. Everywhere the flood dragons went, countless resentful spirits were incinerated and dissipated. What an exquisite fire control technique. Could this brat be an alchemist as well? Danshan Dao looked at Ling Xiao suspiciously. With Ling Xiao and the others joining the fray, the ordinary resentful spirits were quickly blasted into pieces. Only the solid resentful spirits were still incredibly ferocious. The Demon Shadow Sect and the Deity Dao Union each lost 2 people. Crazy Taoist did not last long. He tried to escape at full speed. Unfortunately, a venerable resentful spirit targeted him and chopped him in half. He died on the spot. Poison Scorpion looked at Crazy Taoist's fate and lamented in his heart, integrity is important, but life is even more precious. As the battle became more intense, Danshan Dao displayed supreme might. He single-handedly burned more than 10 venerable resentful spirits into ashes. Ling Xiao and the others had the ability to see through the void, so they killed many resentful spirits and ordinary resentful spirits. The Demon Shadow Sect also used the Spirit Gathering Lamp to absorb many resentful spirits. Only the Deity Dao Union killed the least resentful spirits. Instead they lost 3 people. Now only 4 people remained. Nangong Lai protected the 2 monarchs of the Nangong clan and the Ouyang clan and stayed behind. A short period of peace appeared in the plaza. The people here were the last survivors. The others were probably already dead. The price of coming to Gu City was rather high. However, they did not know if this Jade Tower had the divine item they were looking for. Otherwise, they would have suffered a great loss. At this moment, a dignified voice rang out in Ling Xiao's ears. Brat, did you use heavenly fire earlier? Chapter 413. In the legends, there were only a few types of heavenly fire. Every type of heavenly fire was a fatal temptation to any powerful martial artist, and to alchemists, it was even more desirable. Not only could heavenly fire increase a martial artist's fighting strength, but it was also the best fire for alchemy. It could refine pills of higher quality and purer quality. Danshan Dao had been famous for hundreds of years. Not only was he an Empyrean-level super expert, but he was also a 6th-grade alchemist. He was the most outstanding and famous person in the southern wasteland. He had gone through untold hardships and traveled through countless mountains to find and subdue an earth-grade fire, the dark brown flame. It was one of the top 36 types of earth fires. Heavenly fire only existed in legends and earth-grade fire was rare. He had thought that he was one of the luckiest people. However, when he saw a young man in his 20s actually possess the legendary heavenly fire, he was so jealous that he almost went crazy. A legendary treasure like heavenly fire was only suitable for the strongest, only for an outstanding alchemist like him. How could it be ruined by a low-level king? As the question rang out, Ling Xiao became the focus of everyone's gazes. Their gazes were filled with a fiery passion. Ling Xiao raised his head to look at the fiery figure in the sky. Even though he hated this kind of unreasonable questioning, he still responded with basic courtesy. "Senior, are you asking me? If not you, then who else?" Dan Dao said coldly. Ling Xiao played with the flame and replied, "This is the flame I was born with, not some heavenly fire." Ling Xiao naturally knew what Dan Dao was planning. Even if he was beaten to death, he wouldn't admit that he was using heavenly flame. Otherwise, Dan Dao wouldn't let him off the hook. Whether it is heavenly fire or not, I will know once I try." Dan Dao narrowed his eyes and snorted. He pointed with a finger and a brown flame shot towards Ling Xiao. The flame was as fast as lightning, and it was simply impossible to defend against. "Husband, young master, be careful." Kai Shiyue and Poison Scorpion cried out at the same time. By the time they wanted to help, it was already too late. The flame had already reached Ling Xiao's body. Ling Xiao didn't have any time to react before the brown flame burned his skin. Sizzle. Before the brown flame could harm Ling Xiao's skin and muscles, a blue flame appeared and engulfed the brown flame. Ling Xiao glared at Dan Xin and shouted, "Senior, what are you doing? What are you doing? Didn't you say that you were born with this fire? Just now I pointed at you with an earth flame. Even an earthly sovereign would find it difficult to extinguish it. But your little king rank flame was able to swallow it. If it isn't a heaven flame, then what is it?" Dan Dao said coldly. His eyes were filled with greed. Ling Xiao knew that with Dan Dao's test, he would not be able to keep the secret of his heavenly flame. He looked at Dan Daoist and said, "So what if I use the heavenly flame? Could it be that Senior would disregard his status and attack a junior like me? I'm afraid I'll be laughed at by the world." He could only retreat in order to advance. He hoped that Dan Dao would care about his reputation and didn't attack immediately. After all, there were still unknown dangers in Gu City. "Ha, you have some guts. You dare to talk to me like that?" Dan Dao laughed wildly. Then his eyes shone brightly. "The heavenly flame shouldn't belong to a weakling like you. You don't deserve it. Hand it over and I'll spare your life. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite." After saying that, he opened his hand and directly used his spiritual energy to imprison Ling Xiao. "Let go of my husband." Kai Shiyue was worried about Ling Xiao's safety. Countless golden willow wisps appeared in her hand and swept toward Dan Dao's face. Poison Scorpion gritted his teeth and spat out a mouthful of poisonous mist from his mouth. The dense poisonous gas corroded Dan Dao. Light of the cocoon flame moved to the side. "Otherwise, don't blame me for sending you on your way." Dan Dao waved his hand and a sea of fire engulfed the two's attacks. An incomparably powerful aura blasted the two far away. The strength of an earthly sovereign and a heavenly venerate were not on the same level. Ling Xiao frowned and shouted, "Old fellow, do you really think you can defeat me? You dare to speak to me like that? It looks like you're tired of living." Who was Dan Dao? He was the strongest and highest-ranked alchemist in the southern domain and the northwest. Even the famous people of the older generation of the Demon Shadow sect, the Deity Dao Union, or the Rank 7 sects in the northwest would not dare to speak to him like that. This youth was reckless and dared to be so disrespectful to him. He originally wanted to spare Ling Xiao's life, but it looked like he could do so now. Just as Dan Dao was about to kill Ling Xiao, a huge beast appeared in front of Ling Xiao. A dragon roar soared into the sky. Brr. Everyone in the vicinity was shaken by this dragon roar to the point they felt dizzy, and their ears were ringing while their vision became blurry. Moreover, a few king-rank martial artists were even shaken to the point of spitting blood. Dan Dao, who bore the brunt of the attack, didn't fare too well either. He and the Fire Luan were knocked back dozens of meters, and the blood in their bodies churned. The Fire Luan let out a shrill cry, as if it had encountered a formidable enemy. It was a blue flood dragon that was dozens of meters long. Its scales were sparkling and its claws were as sharp as an eagle's. Its two bell-sized eyes radiated a bloodthirsty and violent emotion. The once foolish purple flood dragon roar was no more. In its place was a flood dragon with a pure bloodline. The people nearby looked at the ferocious flood dragon and revealed fearful expressions. They thought to themselves, "Good thing I didn't have any plans earlier. This brat actually dared to challenge Dan Dao. So he had something to rely on." This was definitely a powerful flood dragon that was at least rank 6, and it was comparable to an Empyrean powerhouse. Ling Xiao sat on the dragon's back, looking majestically at Dan Dao and the Fire Luan. "Old man, I respect you as a senior and don't want to tangle with you, but you actually dared to have killing intent towards me and even hurt my woman and servant. You're courting death." Ling Xiao angrily glared at Dan Qindao and shouted, "Xiaolong, get rid of them." The blue flood dragon received Ling Xiao's instructions, and with a swing of its tail, it instantly appeared in front of Dan Qindao and the Fire Luan. A giant claw smashed down, and it seemed as if a part of the world was being smashed apart. Dan Qindao was already a low-level Empyrean, so his strength was naturally extraordinary. He formed a mysterious seal with both hands, and a world of fire enveloped the area. The brown flames turned into countless Fire Luan that flew towards the blue flood dragon. His mount, the Fire Luan, was also a low-level rank 6 spirit beast. As it flapped its wings, countless fire feathers turned into sharp blades that shot towards the blue flood dragon. Ling Xiao did not stay idle on the dragon's back. He gathered 2 blue fire dragons in his hands and sent them towards the sea of fire. Although his fire dragons were not big, they were quite powerful and could actually devour the sea of fire slowly. The blue flood dragon was even more tyrannical. Its claw directly pierced through the sea of fire, scaring the man and beast into dodging. Swish! The blue flood dragon opened its bloody mouth, and a column of water rushed out. The water surged violently and directly broke through the sea of fire, drowning the man and beast. Dan Qindao and the Fire Luan were washed far away by the water. Dan Qindao's entire body was drenched, and the Fire Luan's fiery feathers were dim. The two looked extremely battered and exhausted. A high-level rank 6 flood dragon. Dan Qindao finally realized that this bite dragon was not a newly ascended rank 6 flood dragon, but a high-level rank 6 flood dragon. Its strength was 2 ranks higher than theirs. Dan Qindao was shocked. He never thought that a young man in his 20s would have such a spirit beast to protect him. He thought to himself, is this young man from the central region? He didn't have much time to think before the blue flood dragon pounced over again. Countless giant waves rushed out of its bloody mouth. This time it was even more ferocious than before. If he was hit by it, it wouldn't be as simple as getting wet. 5-direction cauldron appear. Dan Qindao left the Fire Luan with 1 foot, and a red cauldron appeared above his head. This was Dan Qindao's cauldron, a spirit artifact level cauldron, the 5-direction cauldron. He pointed the mouth of the cauldron in the direction of the waves and slapped the bottom of the cauldron with both hands. Boom! The mouth of the cauldron erupted like a small volcano, and the brown sea of fire collided with the waves. However, the sea of fire could not withstand the waves and was pushed back again and again. At this time, the Fire Luan transformed into a fiery meteor from another direction and pecked down at Ling Xiao. "You feathered beast! You dare provoke me? I'll burn you into a featherless beast!" Ling Xiao shouted, and his psychic power blasted out from between his eyebrows. An invisible sword strike stabbed toward the Fire Luan's beast core. A spirit beast's beast core normally did not have any defensive capabilities, but a 6th-grade spirit beast core was extremely powerful. Ling Xiao's psychic power was not enough to kill it instantly, so he only managed to make it lose control for a moment and cause it some pain. Screech! The Fire Luan was inexplicably injured, and it let out a pained cry. Its huge body swayed uncontrollably as it flapped its flaming wings. Ling Xiao knew that the Fire Luan would only lose control for a short period of time, so he took advantage of the critical moment and pointed out with his finger. Whoosh! A tiny blue beam of light shot toward the Fire Luan. Fire Luan. Dan Qindao and the Fire Luan had a contract, so he naturally sensed the danger the Fire Luan was in. He immediately turned his head and shouted. The blue flood dragon was already much stronger than him, and now that he dared to split his attention, he immediately suffered the brunt of Tenbin's divine ability. Dan Qindao was sent flying back hundreds of meters by the sound wave, and blood seeped out of his orifices. At the same time, the Fire Luan tried to regain control, but the blue flames had already touched its body. Heavenly fire could burn everything under the heavens. Although the Fire Luan was of the fire attribute, it could not resist the heavenly fire. As soon as the flames touched it, the Fire Luan let out a deafening screech and flapped its wings. Its own flames fought against the blue flames, but it was useless. The Fire Luan dove into the ground, trying to use the moisture to extinguish the flames. But was that useful? The Fire Luan screeched as it was burned to ashes. "Damn it, I'll remember you. One day I'll tear you to pieces." Dan Qindao bellowed. He no longer dared to attack Ling Xiao and dove into the Jade Pavilion. "You won't have a second chance, Xiaolong, chase after him." Ling Xiao naturally would not let Dan Qindao go. Today he must kill him to prevent future troubles. Chapter 4:14. What did I see just now? Why do I feel like I'm dreaming? I also feel like I'm dreaming. Furthermore, it's the kind of serious sleepwalking. I dreamed that the Pill Grandmaster was actually severely injured. I dreamt that the Pill Grandmaster's rank 6 mount was burned to ashes. Whether it was the people of the Demon Shadow sect or the deity Dao Union, none of them could believe what they had just seen. The godlike Danshan Dao was actually severely injured by a low-level king stage expert and his mount. Furthermore, his rank 6 mount, the Fire Luan, was actually destroyed by that low-level king stage expert. This made them feel like the clouds were in a fog. It was too unbelievable. Stop staring blankly, quickly go in. The leader of the Magic Shadow sect shouted in shock. He led the remaining 8 people of his sect and rushed into the Jade Tower. The deity Dao Union's Vice Alliance Master also exclaimed, "Let's go in as well. We can't let the evil creature descend." The deity Dao Union only had 4 high-level Earth Monarchs left, and they all rushed into the Jade Tower. Nangong Lai clenched his fist and did not hesitate to rush in. The 2 people behind him also followed. Just as Kai Shiyue and Poison Scorpion were about to enter while enduring their injuries, Xian Yao shouted, "Don't go in. Brother Ling will be fine. If you go in, he will have to divert his attention to take care of the 2 of you. It will be even more dangerous." "But I don't feel at ease leaving him in there alone," Kai Shiyue said worriedly. "What can you do if you're worried? Do you think that you can be stronger than the Flood Dragon? Can you deal with Danshan Dao?" Xian Yao revealed a wise expression as he asked. Then what should we do?" Kai Shiyue asked anxiously. "Wait." Xian Yao gave a simple reply before descending to the ground. Kai Shiyue hesitated for a moment, but she knew that Xian Yao's words made sense. Although she was a mid-level Earth Monarch, she was far inferior to the Blue Flood Dragon. It was even more impossible for her to deal with Danshan Dao. If she distracted Ling Xiao from taking care of her, then Ling Xiao would truly be in danger. Poison Scorpion looked at Xian Yao squarely and didn't say anything. He stopped beside Kai Shiyue. He sighed inwardly, "Thank goodness I followed the right young master. I never thought that the Flood Dragon would be so terrifying that even Danshan sect would have to retreat. Who else in the southern region can easily challenge the young master? Also, the young master's power is too strange. He can even kill a Fire Luan. I've paid the right price this time." Poison Scorpion had originally thought that Ling Xiao possessed extraordinary abilities. Ling Xiao was able to neutralize his scorpion poison, was a 5th-grade alchemist, and had a 6th-grade Flood Dragon as his mount. Poison Scorpion had guessed that Ling Xiao might be a disciple of some great sect or clan in the central region, and that his strength should still need to be improved. But now, when he saw how calm Ling Xiao was in the face of danger, and how domineering he was, he felt that Ling Xiao didn't seem like the strength of a low-level king stage martial artist. Instead, he seemed like a combat king who was full of vigor and decisiveness. Only now did Poison Scorpion's loyalty to Ling Xiao increase. Just as everyone entered, a faint and strange fragrance wafted out of the Jade Tower. What is this smell?" Kai Shiyue asked doubtfully after taking a sniff. Poison Scorpion also smelled the fragrance, and his expression became horrified. This is the fragrance of a sacrificial goo. Could it be that what Crazy Taoist said was true? "What goo fragrance?" Xian Yao asked in confusion. "Quick, let's fly up and talk." Poison Scorpion cried out in alarm as he left the ground and flew up into the air. Kai Shiyue and Xian Yao didn't dare to stay and instantly flew up into the air. At this moment, a dark mass of something squeezed towards the Jade Tower from all directions. What is that?" Kai Shiyue cried out in alarm. Poison Scorpion said indifferently, "Poisonous creatures." The 3 of them stared blankly at the thing that was quickly crawling over from the ground. It was a dense mass of poisonous insects. There were 1st-grade poisonous ants, 2nd-grade blood centipedes, 3rd-grade black-horned pythons. Countless poisonous creatures emerged from the surrounding mountain ridges. The 3 of them watched from the sky and felt their scalps go numb. "What the hell is going on?" Kai Shiyue exclaimed in confusion. Poison Scorpion replied, "It should be the heavenly goo divine cauldron sacrificing goo inside. This kind of goo fragrance has a great temptation to poisonous insects. Once these poisonous insects enter the divine cauldron, they will be sacrificed. But who is sacrificing goo in the house? Is there a goo clan powerhouse living inside? No, this place is full of resentful souls. No one can survive here for so long. The one sacrificing goo inside may be a powerful resentful soul or remnant soul," Xian Yao said solemnly. "What? Resentful souls can also be sacrificed?" Kai Shiyue and Poison Scorpion exclaimed. "Maybe it's not as simple as a resentful soul. It may have already developed a consciousness and is controlling everything here, Xian Yao said. Then, what should we do? Is my husband still inside? Kai Shiyue was worried about Ling Zhao's safety and had become at a loss. His fate is tough and nothing will happen to him easily. But just in case we must do something, Xian Yao replied. What can we do? Poison Scorpion asked. Set up the formation, Xian Yao said. Ling Xiao rode the blue flood dragon which had shrunk several times and flew into the Jade Tower. When he entered the Jade Tower he did not find any trace of Danshan Dao. He only felt his vision turn dark, and his surroundings became pitch black. A cold and frightening aura assaulted his nose. Ling Xiao shrank his body and stopped the blue flood dragon. What's going on? Ling Xiao asked doubtfully. Then he immediately focused his green eyes to see what was going on. The green eyes emitted a divine light that could see through everything. He saw that Danshan Dao was not far away from him. He seemed to be in a panic. An earth-ranked flame was protecting him, and he held the 5-direction cauldron tightly in his hand. It seemed like he was always on guard to prevent himself from getting hurt. It seems like this old fellow can't see anything just like me, Ling Xiao thought to himself. Then he saw people from the Magic Shadow Sect, the Deity Dao Union and Nangong Lai enter. Looking at their panicked expressions, he knew that they were also frightened by the pitch-black world. Just at this moment, Danshan Dao, who was not far away, raised the 5-direction cauldron. A sea of fire surrounded him, reducing his visibility. However, Ling Xiao discovered that Danshan Dao's small world seemed to be suppressed. The sea of fire could only spread 2 meters. If it was outside, with Danshan Dao's ability, it would not be a problem for him to turn the area within 250 kilometers into a sea of fire. There's something strange here, Ling Xiao thought worriedly. Then he looked ahead and his pupils constricted. He saw a very hunched old woman in front of him. This old woman was wearing the clothes of the Gu race. Her eyelids were heavy and she seemed to be asleep. There was a small cauldron in front of her. This small cauldron was very exquisite. It looked very ancient and elegant. The walls of the cauldron were engraved with strange patterns that looked very profound. White smoke was coming out of the small cauldron, and the white smoke had a strange smell. Heaven Gu Divine Cauldron. Ling Xiao could not help but exclaim. Although he had not seen what the Heaven Gu Divine Cauldron looked like, before leaving Guqi City, the high priest had described the Heaven Gu Divine Cauldron to him, so he recognized it at a glance. Although the high priest had asked him to help him find the Heaven Gu Divine Cauldron for Ling Xiao, the Heaven Gu Divine technique was what he needed the most at the moment. Since I'm here, I'll take back the Heaven Gu Divine Cauldron and fulfill one of the high priest's wishes. I just don't know if this old woman will give up her treasure. Maybe it's better to let her go to Guqi City, Ling Xiao murmured with a disappointed expression. Then his heart trembled and he exclaimed, She has no aura of life, could it be? Just as Ling Xiao guessed the old woman's identity, the Demon Emperor's aura finally sounded in his sea of consciousness. Young master, did you hear me? Demon Emperor, where are you? Ling Xiao looked around but did not see any trace of the Demon Emperor. Young master, my physical body has been destroyed. Relax your mind and let me enter your sea of consciousness. The Demon Emperor's voice sounded urgent. Ling Xiao was not afraid that the Demon Emperor would dare to cause trouble in his sea of consciousness, so he immediately relaxed his mind. Then an invisible soul burrowed into Ling Xiao's forehead. The Demon Emperor formed a black fog face in Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness. What's going on? Ling Xiao asked solemnly. The Demon Emperor let out a heavy sigh and said, When I entered the city, this old servant should have felt that the remnant soul fluctuations here were relatively large, so I rushed here. Along the way, I encountered a few resentful souls that had already condensed. I was not strong enough to devour them, so I could only absorb ordinary remnant souls. Later, I felt that this building was a bit strange, so I couldn't help but come in. I didn't expect that I would almost be devoured by that old witch. Old witch. Ling Xiao couldn't help but glance at the old woman. That's right. She's also a resentful soul, but she's very different from other resentful souls. Her resentment is especially strong, and she still has a trace of her consciousness from before she died. Her strength is very terrifying, and I estimate that she was definitely an emperor-level existence like this old servant when she was alive. Emperor level? Ling Xiao sucked in a breath of cold air. That's right. This black fog is a manifestation of her realm. She's the true ruler of this realm, and if she doesn't let us out, then none of us will be able to survive, the Demon Emperor said seriously. A realm was a divine ability that only Emperor-level experts could use. The Danshan Path's minor realm was useless in someone else's realm. Then what should we do? Ling Xiao frowned. Only she disappears. Otherwise we won't be able to leave, the Demon Emperor replied. Ling Xiao still wanted to say something, but he saw the old woman raise her hands like a witch. Her 10 dry knuckles flickered. Ling Xiao saw a dense cluster of venomous creatures appear around her, giving him goosebumps. It's really as the crazy Taoist said. She's sacrificing a cauldron. Ling Xiao said in astonishment. The Demon Emperor said, this is just her habit. She might have often sacrificed this cauldron when she was alive, so she's just subconsciously doing it now. Ling Xiao stared at the venomous creatures crawling into the small cauldron as if they weren't afraid of death. A strong fragrance filled the entire world. Chapter 4:15. Not long after, a small parasite emerged from the cauldron. This parasite flickered with golden light, and its eyes were intelligent. It looked very cute and did not seem as scary as ordinary parasites. However, it was this tiny golden goo worm that actually devoured those poisonous creatures cleanly. Ling Xiao was stunned by this scene. This little thing is so strong? The poisonous creatures that had entered this world had shrunk in size. But there was no lack of powerful 3rd and 4th rank poisonous creatures here, and yet this little parasite was able to devour them one at a time. Furthermore, it didn't seem satisfied. This parasite had a huge appetite. The other poisonous creatures that hadn't had time to eat entered the cauldron and never came out again. Ling Xiao no longer looked at the old woman and the parasite. His gaze once again landed on the people who had entered this world of darkness. He found that the people who had entered this world of darkness had all spread out like birds startled by the mere twang of a bow. Their bodies were covered in layers of attribute armor to protect themselves. Danshan Dao didn't create his own small world either. Instead, he took a 5th rank healing pill and took the opportunity to recover from his injuries. No matter what, I'll kill you first. An ominous glint flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes. Just as he was about to walk towards Danshan Dao, where he couldn't see him, the black veil suddenly changed. A huge black palm grabbed towards Danshan Dao. When the black mist came into contact with Danshan Dao's earth rank flame, it shrank a bit. Earth rank flames couldn't compare to heavenly flames, but they were still rare flames. Naturally, their power was extraordinary. The dozing old woman opened her eyes and revealed a strange expression. Then she waved her hand and Danshan Dao's body flew uncontrollably towards the old woman. Danshan Dao shouted with all his might, and his expression became incomparably flustered. The 5-direction cauldron in his hand kept shooting out flames, but he didn't know where his target was. He couldn't even use 1/10 of the flame's power. Just as Danshan Dao was about to reach the old woman, she let out a mournful cry. She pointed out with her finger and her fingernails grew longer. They pierced through Danshan Dao's defenses and pierced through his forehead. You're right. Danshan's Dao body perished, and his soul seeped out from his corpse. The old woman opened her mouth and sucked. Danshan Dao's soul flew into her mouth and entered her stomach. A supreme being had died without a sound, and even his soul didn't have the chance to reincarnate. Ling Xiao felt nothing but shock and horror. The Demon Emperor's voice rang out in Lu Yin's mind. If she devours enough souls one day, she might be able to revive using another method. However, once she truly revives, this world will become a purgatory. Her condition should be similar to yours, right? Why didn't she absorb you just now? Ling Xiao asked. The Demon Emperor replied, she's far inferior to me. She's a vengeful spirit, and she only has a few traces of consciousness from her previous life. She doesn't know what thinking is, but I'm a complete soul. Although I was heavily injured back then, it didn't affect my consciousness and thinking ability. I have a secret technique to hide my soul fluctuations which allowed me to escape. After listening to the Demon Emperor's explanation, Ling Xiao suddenly understood. In the next moment he saw the old woman make her move again. This time her target was the leader of the Magic Shadow Sect. In this blind and ignorant world, the leader of the Magic Shadow Sect was the same as Danshan Dao. He didn't even have a chance to resist before he died. Next, it was the Deity Dao Union's Vice Alliance Master's turn. One expert after another died, causing Ling Xiao to break out in a cold sweat. If this went on, he probably wouldn't have a chance to survive. At this moment, it was Nangong Lai's turn, who had applied a hallucination-dispelling potion. He could clearly see where the old woman was. He held the heavenly fire centipede in his hand and sent a powerful flame towards the old woman. The flames soared into the sky, and the cries of the flaming bird filled the air. However, in this great world, it seemed to be a futile effort. The old woman waved her hand, and the intense flames actually covered the drum, causing it to dim. She waved her hand again and Nangong Lai's body flew forward involuntarily. Just as Ling Xiao was about to make a move, an ancient lamp smashed towards the old woman. The inextinguishable wick flickered, and a strong suction force caused the old woman to stop. A rank 7 spirit convening lamp. It was actually the magic shadow sect's disciple who made a move. Although he couldn't see this world, the spirit convening lamp could lead him to the location of the strong soul. Hence, he had to make a move and absorb the resentful soul. Otherwise he would die. The old woman stared at the spirit convening lamp, and her expression turned grave. Her figure slowly turned illusory. Ling Xiao thought to himself, this spirit convening lamp is a terrifying spirit equipment. However, just as Ling Xiao thought that the old woman would be absorbed by the spirit convening lamp, the old woman kicked the small cauldron with one foot. The small cauldron flew out like a rock, crashing ruthlessly into the spirit convening lamp. Ding dang. The spirit convening lamp was sent flying, and the old woman's body became solid again. The old woman revealed a dense killing intent towards the magic shadow sect's disciple. The black curtain moved without any wind, and a strong black palm grabbed the magic shadow sect's disciple. Whoosh. The old woman opened her mouth and actually sucked the magic shadow sect's disciple's soul out. After swallowing the soul, the old woman casually threw the body away. The demon emperor's voice rang in Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness. Young master, quickly use the heaven fire to deal with her, or else we will all die. Ling Xiao suddenly realized that Danshan Dao's earth fire might not be able to deal with the old woman, but his heaven fire should be able to. As he thought of this, Ling Xiao's palms shot out countless fire shadows towards the old woman. Although the fire shadows were small, the fire was extremely fierce, and the surrounding black curtain was burned until it dissipated. The old woman noticed Ling Xiao's existence, and her old eyes shot out a deep and ominous glint. She waved her hands and countless black curtains rushed towards Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao had nowhere to hide and his bones were all broken. The blue flood dragon also let out long roars and it was in great pain. If not for its strong body, it would have been smashed to death. Ling Xiao only felt that his body was falling apart, and blood flowed out of his 7 orifices. His internal organs were all displaced. He roared, and the ancient sovereign mystic technique quickly circulated, and the golden divine radiance emitted an intense radiance. Nangong Lai already saw that Ling Xiao was heavily injured, and he took the opportunity to attack. The heaven fire puppet turned into a huge shadow that smashed towards the old woman. The old woman seemed to have lost her patience, and she directly bounced up from the ground. She let out a mournful cry, and her withered old palms slapped the heaven fire puppet away. Nangong Lai's heaven fire puppet was shattered, and he hurriedly retreated. The old woman revealed a ferocious glint, and the black curtains rose again. Nangong Lai was caught, and it would be hard for him to escape misfortune. At this moment, a formless mental force turned into countless blade lights and sword shadows that flew towards the old woman. The old woman's body was instantly sliced apart. Although the old woman's condensed form was more realistic than any resentful spirit, she was still a resentful spirit, and was also countered by mental attacks. The black curtains gradually disappeared, and the survivors could finally see where they were. What happened just now? It was like we entered a dark world. Quick! Look, isn't that the alchemy grandmaster? How did he die? It's not just him, there's also the demon shadow sect's leader and the deity Dao Union's vice alliance leader. They're all dead. The survivors' faces turned incredibly pale. They could not understand how these peak experts had died for no reason. Just as they were in shock, Ling Xiao shouted at the demon emperor, "Quickly go and take over that body. He just died so he should still be alive." Ling Xiao was referring to the corpse of the demon shadow sect's disciple. This person, who was once a prisoner of the Purple Sky sect, had actually become a high-level king in a short 2 years. This was inconceivable. However, he did not care about this. Instead, he cared about the demon emperor's survival and the soul-convening lamp. The demon emperor was a dark-attributed martial artist. He needed a martial artist that matched his own attribute to be able to display his strength. At the same time, he also needed to prepare to recover to his peak state in the future. In addition, the soul-convening lamp had only been sent flying and had not been destroyed. He wanted the demon emperor to control the soul-convening lamp and subdue the old woman with him. At this moment, the old woman's resentful spirit that Ling Xiao had scattered had reformed once again. However, the body was not as solid as before. Ling Xiao used his mental attack again. Unfortunately, the old woman seemed to be able to sense Ling Xiao's formless attack. She dodged at a ghostly speed and pounced towards Ling Xiao at the same time. Fortunately, Ling Xiao had already condensed a heavenly flame to protect himself. When the old woman got close, she was forced to stop by the flames. The old woman was not willing to give up and ruthlessly smashed down with her black palm. The black palm sent Ling Xiao flying far away. He crashed through the jade building and landed outside the plaza. The old woman did not immediately chase after him. Instead, she shifted her target to the survivors. In an instant, she killed a few people and devoured their souls. Her body became perfect again. Nangong Lai had already retreated before the black tomb dissipated. He was not harmed. The demon emperor had also taken over the body of the devil shadow sect disciple. He controlled the soul convening lamp and instantly protected himself. The demon emperor's aura surged and directly broke through to the high-level earth emperor before stopping. Ah, good. This young body is suitable for me. The demon emperor revealed a pleasantly surprised expression. However, the old woman had already controlled the small cauldron to smash the soul convening lamp beside the demon emperor. She hated the soul convening lamp. The demon emperor's strength increased greatly. He sucked the soul convening lamp into his palm. Before the old woman could use her macro world, he broke through the jade building and retreated. The old woman was extremely bloodthirsty. She released a strong aura that directly shattered the jade building. Following that, she slowly rose from the rubble. Ling Xiao was already seriously injured. It was already fortunate that he was not dead. Although he had taken pills, his recovery speed was not that fast. Nangong Lai and the demon emperor were not a match for the old woman. Nangong Lai thought to himself, "Are we going to die here?" The old woman held the small cauldron in her hand and coldly swept her gaze across the crowd. A large black screen world appeared behind her. Once they entered it, they would definitely die like the people just now. At this moment, a voice rang out, "Flickering light shadow formation activate." Chapter 416. Just now, Ling Xiao had been seriously injured by the old woman's palm strike, and many of his muscles had been seriously damaged. If it weren't for the protection of the blue demon flame, which gave the old woman some consideration, he would have been a corpse by now. Seeing the old woman's world of darkness once again push forward, Ling Xiao felt powerless. He tried his best to recover his body, but he still didn't have enough energy, and he couldn't condense his spiritual force to attack. It's over, these resentful spirits are too terrifying. No wonder no one has been able to walk out of here alive in the past 10,000 years. I'm afraid that only an emperor-level super expert can leave here unscathed. Ling Xiao's back was already drenched, and he knew that he no longer had any cards up his sleeve to reverse the situation. The blue flood dragon was his biggest reliance, but even it had been seriously injured, and the difference in strength was too great. Just as Ling Xiao was in despair, Xian Yao's voice rang out, "Flickering light sweeping shadow formation activate." Suddenly rows of pure and flawless light curtains descended from the sky, and the surroundings instantly became pure white. The white light rumbled like lightning. The sound of this white light was very loud, especially like spring thunder. However, this white light didn't feel the slightest pain when it hit someone's body. Instead, it gave them an indescribable feeling of comfort. The surrounding resentful spirits and the old woman in the center of the white light let out the most mournful screams. Whoa! The old woman was submerged by the white light, and before she was submerged, the black curtain she had evolved had already disappeared, leaving only a panicked expression on her face. It was unknown how long the white light had been bombarding her, but finally, it slowly faded and returned to normal. There was no damage to the ground, and the few people who had survived were also not injured in the slightest. However, the surrounding resentful spirits had already disappeared, and the old woman seemed to have disappeared with the white light. As the white light disappeared, Kai Shiyue instantly arrived at Ling Xiao's side, supporting him and asked with a heartache, "Husband, how are you?" Her eyes were filled with tears, and she only felt that the injuries on Ling Xiao's body were on her body, making her very worried. Ling Xiao grinned. Don't touch me. I'll be fine soon." Regardless of whether Ling Xiao was sitting or lying down, he could still circulate the profound technique in his body. In addition, he had consumed a high-level healing pellet before healing his injuries, so it only took a bit of time for his body to recover again. This was also the miraculous part of the ancient emperor divine arts. Now only Ling Xiao, Kai Shiyue, Xian Yao, Poison Scorpion, Demon Emperor, and Nangong Lai were left alive. Nangong Lai arrived in front of Ling Xiao, cupped his hands and said, "Master Ling, please rest here first, I will look around." Nangong Lai thought about the mission from 15 years ago. He had to find the Heaven Gu divine art, and although he also wanted the Heaven Gu divine cauldron in front of him, he did not want to snatch it away. After all, the person who killed the old woman was not him, but the other young man beside Ling Xiao. He admired Ling Xiao's abilities and was also grateful to Ling Xiao for giving him the hallucination-breaking potion, which allowed him to survive in the Gu city until now. He was not the kind of person who would forget kindness and forsake righteousness at the sight of profit. Just as Nangong Lai was about to rush towards the ruins of the building, soul energy actually condensed in the world again. "Be careful, she hasn't completely disappeared," Xian Yao shouted at Nangong Lai. This time, everyone panicked and Nangong Lai retreated once again. In front of the ruins, the old woman's appearance once again appeared. However, her current situation was no longer as solid as before. She only appeared to be in the state of a phantom. It seemed that the floating light sweeping shadow formation had already consumed a large amount of her soul power. Just as everyone was about to attack the old woman again, the small cauldron floated in midair. Suddenly, the small cauldron released thousands of rays of golden light, and a small goo worm jumped out of it. The eyes of the goo worm flickered, and its body actually swelled up in an instant. 1 meter, 2 meters, 3 meters, in just a moment, it actually turned into a large worm that was more than 10 meters tall. Its golden body was abnormally noble, like the emperor of the insects, shocking the few people in front of it. The gold goo worm protected the old woman in front of it, staring at the few people, as if it would immediately swallow them into its stomach and become its food if anything abnormal happened. Nangong Lai and Ling Xiao looked at the gold goo worm and felt their scalps go numb. Just now in the world of darkness, they had seen with their own eyes that the gold goo worm had swallowed a large number of poisonous creatures one by one. Now that it had revealed its true body, the powerful pressure made them unable to move. This pressure was actually not weaker than the blue flood dragon, and it seemed to be even more terrifying. Apart from Ling Xiao, the others looked at the gold goo worm and let out a horrifying cry. It's the gold silkworm goo. The gold silkworm goo was the most powerful and primitive of all the goo worms, and it was the emperor of all the goo worms. Legend has it that in ancient times when humans were first born, the beasts dominated the continent, and the divine beasts were the supreme rulers. All the divine beasts ruled over a region, and then a rare mutated beast appeared, wanting to compete with the divine beasts and divide the land to be the emperor. At that time, all kinds of powerful mutated beasts displayed their terrifying tenbin, challenging the dignity of the divine beasts. Among them there was a powerful mutated beast called the gold silkworm goo, which displayed supreme power and battle power, and fought evenly with the divine beasts. Finally, it obtained a remote area as a place for its goo worm to live. According to legend, the gold silkworm goo was a mutation of the bloodline of the sky silkworm king and the goo worm king. It had the magical power of the two kinds of spiritual beasts at the same time, and it was a rare ancient mutated beast. With the passing of time, the bloodline of this ancient mutated beast became thinner and thinner. Until the ancient times, the gold silkworm goo had already become a legend, and it had never appeared again. Of course, they had never seen this kind of ancient mutated beast before, but they had a slight understanding of it from some ancient books. After all, Kai Xiaoyu, Poison Scorpion and Nangong Lai were all people who grew up in the southern wasteland, and the Demon Emperor and Shen Yao had special identities, so it was not surprising that they could recognize this gold silkworm goo. The gold silkworm goo was different from other spiritual beasts. Normally, spiritual beasts would be able to speak human language when they reached the 7th rank, and its aura was obviously at the 7th rank, but it could not swallow human language. Therefore, it could be confirmed that the gold silkworm goo in front of them was still in its growth stage, and it could not be considered a mature gold silkworm goo. A mature gold silkworm goo would have silkworm wings on its back, be able to speak human language and take human form. The lifespan of the gold silkworm goo was very long. Each stage of growth required 5,000 years of evolution, which was 5,000 years of infancy, 5,000 years of maturity, and 10,000 years of maturity before becoming a mature gold silkworm goo emperor. However, no matter what stage it was, the gold silkworm goo had the power to command the heavenly silkworms and goo worms in the world. It was the supreme emperor of these two spiritual beasts. "Oh, who are you?" An incomparably weak voice sounded from the side of the gold silkworm goo. Everyone was stunned and their pupils constricted. This was clearly the voice of the old woman. They were all stunned. When had they heard that a resentful spirit could also make a sound? The demon emperor faintly said, "Your soul is still here?" The demon emperor was also a remnant soul that had been reborn. He might have already guessed that this old woman should be different from the resentful spirit from before, and should be in a similar state as his soul before. The old woman indifferently said, "I'm long gone. I'm just a wisp of will before I die, and I'll disappear very soon. Which one of you can tell me how the descendants of my Gu race are doing now? Have they been exterminated by those beasts?" The old woman's voice was still filled with a strong sense of hatred. Nangong Lai came back to his senses and replying to old senior, "The Gu race was exterminated 10,000 years ago. God damn it, the children of my Gu race actually. The old woman lamented. Xin Yao spoke up from the side, "Old senior, there's no need to be sad. Your clansmen haven't been completely exterminated, and there are still quite a number of them living in this world. It's just that they can only live in a remote corner and don't dare to come out rashly for fear of causing a disaster." "Really?" the old woman exclaimed. "Absolutely," Xin Yao replied, then pointed at Ling Xiao and asked, "Have you seen him?" The old woman was puzzled and asked, "What about him?" "He's your clan's priest, Grandpa Fu Ma. He's specially ordered by the high priest to find the Gu race's two sacred treasures," Xin Yao said solemnly. The old woman's gaze landed on Ling Xiao's upper body, and her expression was filled with doubt. "Senior, if you don't believe me, you can search this junior's memories. He is indeed your clan's current Grandpa Fu Ma," Xin Yao continued. "All right, I'll see if he's my clan's Grandpa Fu Ma," the old woman replied, then turned into a black mist and entered Xin Yao's consciousness. "Be careful, don't let her take over your body," the demon emperor couldn't help but cry out. However, Xin Yao didn't move and allowed the black mist to enter his consciousness. Xin Yao was like an old monk in meditation, while the others were all secretly guessing and all revealed vigilant expressions. After a while, the black mist flew out again and formed into the old woman's appearance. She laughed loudly, Good, my clan's child is still alive. He's still alive, the heavens are truly blessing my clan." Xin Yao sat on the ground as if he had been freed from the void, and asked with difficulty, "Senior, do you believe me now?" "Yes, I believe you," the old woman replied, and her image became much fainter. She then turned to Ling Xiao and said, "Child, can you still get up? I have something to say to you." Ling Xiao heard the old woman's call and knew that the old woman in front of him was no longer a terrifying resentful spirit, so he struggled to get up. His face was extremely pale as he said, "Say, Senior, please speak." The old woman's image was already becoming fainter and fainter, and she vaguely glanced at the people beside her. The few of them tactfully retreated. The old woman floated in front of Ling Xiao and closed her eyes slightly. After a while, she opened her eyes, and an incomparably powerful pressure sent Ling Xiao flying. She then said sternly, How dare you lie to me? If you were a vassal of my Gu clan, how could you not have my clan's sacred object? I'll devour you." The old woman had just entered Xian Yao's memory and knew that the female priest in Guzhai City had been summoned as a vassal. She also knew from Xian Yao's image that Ling Xiao had been summoned as a vassal. However, when she approached Ling Xiao, she did not sense the aura of her Gu clan in Ling Xiao's body. In other words, there was no love Gu in Ling Xiao's body, so she definitely did not successfully become a vassal to Ling Xiao. At this moment, she was furious and wanted to devour Ling Xiao's soul. Ling Xiao was in danger. Chapter 417. Ling Xiao had just recovered a little from his injuries, but now he was back to his original state. He felt indescribably depressed. Back then he hadn't been willing to be controlled by others. He had stayed in Gu City for 3 months before advancing to a 4th-grade alchemist. He had refined the vital organ-restoring pill and reconstructed his organs. At the same time he had gotten rid of the love Gu in his body. Thus, he didn't have the aura of a Gu clan member, which was why the old woman had misunderstood him. Seeing the old woman turn into a ball of mist and enter his mind, Ling Xiao instantly summoned the blue demon flame to protect his body. The old woman knew how powerful the heavenly flame was, so she immediately stopped and retreated. "Brat, even if you have the heavenly flame protecting you, you won't be able to escape death," the old woman cursed. Then she ordered the golden silkworm Gu to kill Ling Xiao. At this moment, Ling Xiao took out something and showed it to the old woman. He said with difficulty, "Senior, please take a look." A token appeared in Ling Xiao's hand. It was a very old token, made of a rare material that looked like jade or iron. There was a statue of a goo insect engraved on the front of the token, and under the image of the insect, there were two indecipherable characters of the alien race. The old woman instantly stopped and stared blankly at the token. Her expression became somewhat blank, as if she was trying hard to recall something. After a moment, the old woman seemed to recall something, and her expression became sincere. She crossed her arms in front of her chest and muttered something to the token that Ling Xiao couldn't understand. Ling Xiao didn't know what the old woman was doing. He took out 2 more pills and stuffed them into his mouth, once again recovering at full speed. He was about to die from the repeated injuries. Fortunately, his life was like that of an undying cockroach. He still had a breath left, so he wouldn't die for the time being. However, he had to quickly recover. Otherwise, he really didn't know if the old woman would attack him again. The old woman stopped murmuring and looked at Ling Xiao with a different expression than before. "Who gave you this medallion?" Ling Xiao said with difficulty. It's the high priest grandpa who gave it to me." Before Ling Xiao left Gu City, the high priest had given him a spatial ring. Other than some spirit herbs, there was also a jade tube. When Ling Xiao found the Heaven Gu divine art, he could crush the jade tube and the high priest would naturally rush over. Other than the spirit herbs and the jade tube, there was also this token. At that time, the high priest did not explain the function of this token. He only told him that if he wanted to return to Guzhai City in the future, he only needed to show the token. Ling Xiao felt that this token should be his pass to Guzhai City or proof of his identity in the Gu race. Therefore, when he was at his wit's end, he took out the token, hoping that it would be able to convince the old woman of his identity. If the token was useless, then only death awaited him. Fortunately, the token seemed to have some effect. It made the old woman stop. It seemed that she really remembered something. Seeing that the old woman's figure was getting weaker and weaker, she knew that her will was about to disappear from this world. She looked at Ling Xiao and said softly, "Child, I'm sorry. I've wronged you. Since you're my clan's vassal, remember what I've said." Ling Xiao heaved a sigh of relief and immediately nodded at the old woman. The old woman revealed a kind smile. With a light wave of her hand, the small cauldron flew in front of Ling Xiao. The golden silkworm Gu also instantly shrank and returned to the small cauldron. "This is the Heaven Gu divine cauldron, a sacred object of my clan. Since you're my clan's vassal, then bring it back to your clan and take good care of it. It can make my clan prosper again. This divine cauldron must not be lost. Even if you die, you must bring it back," the old woman said solemnly. Ling Xiao subconsciously nodded and thought to himself, "Is this small cauldron really the 8th-ranked Heaven Gu divine cauldron?" There were 9 great heaven cauldrons in the world. Every divine cauldron had incredible power, and every divine cauldron was a rare divine item. In this world, countless experts and alchemists yearned to obtain a divine cauldron. However, divine cauldrons could only be found by chance. It didn't matter how strong one was, one could obtain a divine cauldron. One also needed great opportunities to see a divine cauldron. Ling Xiao had accidentally obtained the obsidian divine cauldron in his clan. Now that the Heaven Gu divine cauldron was in front of him, it was equivalent to having 2 divine cauldrons in his hands. If others were to find out about this, it was unknown how many super experts would be envious. Even a saint-level expert would be envious. Others had traveled thousands of mountains and rivers in their lives to see a rare divine object, but this young man had 2. How could they not be envious and jealous? The old woman's shadow was about to disappear. She quickened her pace and said, "When you go back, tell the current high priest not to think about revenge. The enemy is very powerful. If there is no descendant of the saint in our tribe, we must not participate in any faction battles and make enemies with others. Only if our tribe continues to have descendants, one day, there will be a descendant with the heavenly venomous body. He will restore our tribe's prestige and take revenge for our venomous body." At that moment, Ling Xiao's body felt a little better. When he heard about the heavenly venomous body, he struggled to his feet and said, "Senior, the priestess is my wife. She has the heavenly venomous body. Do you know where the heavenly venomous art is? She'll be 20 in a year. If we can't find it by then, she'll die." Ling Xiao spat out a mouthful of blood as he finished speaking in one breath. The old woman's energy was exhausted. When she heard Ling Xiao say the Heaven Gu divine body, her pupils dilated a little. She pointed in the direction of the small cauldron and said, The Heaven Gu divine art is. Before she could finish speaking, her face revealed an extremely unwilling expression and she disappeared between heaven and earth. Senior. Ling Xiao exclaimed. He knew that the old woman definitely knew the whereabouts of the Heaven Gu divine art, but her time was up. She had no choice but to disappear after saying what she wanted to say. Ling Xiao patted his head a few times in annoyance. He blamed himself for not asking her earlier. Now he had completely lost the clue to the Heaven Gu divine art. What should he do? There was no medicine for regret in this world. Ling Xiao could only force himself to recover first, and then search around the city to see if he could find the Heaven Gu divine art. If he couldn't find it, he could only return to Guzhai City to refine the spirit-prolonging pill to continue the life of the priestess and spend the rest of his time with her. At the thought of the priestess dying soon, Ling Xiao's heart tightened. He spat out a mouthful of blood and fainted. Ling Xiao didn't know how much time had passed, but when he woke up, he found himself lying in an unfamiliar house. He struggled to sit up, but his body was in unbearable pain, making him cry out softly, "Ah! Husband, you're awake?" Kai Shiyue immediately appeared beside Ling Xiao, supported him and asked with concern. Where is this?" Ling Xiao asked with a pale face. "Still in Gu City," Kai Shiyue replied. "Then why didn't I find any resentful souls?" Ling Xiao asked in confusion. After that powerful granny disappeared, those resentful souls seemed to have lost their backbone and also disappeared from the world, Kai Shiyue replied. "So that's how it is," Ling Xiao responded and then sat up with Kai Shiyue's help. After taking a few more pills and resting for half a day, Ling Xiao finally recovered 60 to 70% and could get out of bed and walk around. "By the way, where's the small cauldron?" Ling Xiao suddenly remembered the Heaven Gu divine cauldron and immediately asked. "I have it," Kai Shiyue responded, and then took out the small cauldron from the space ring. Ling Xiao took the small cauldron, his expression full of bitterness. If it was someone else who obtained this Heaven Gu divine cauldron, they might be ecstatic, but Ling Xiao would rather exchange this Heaven Gu divine art for the Heaven Gu divine art, which would really make him very happy. "Forget it, maybe this is Yun'er's fate," Ling Xiao sighed heavily, an indescribable sadness on his face. "Husband, what's on your mind? Tell me and share it with you, Kai Shiyue asked thoughtfully. Ling Xiao stroked Kai Shiyue's beautiful hair and said indifferently, "I'm just a little bored, come out with me for a walk." If Ling Xiao didn't want to say it, Kai Shiyue naturally wouldn't force him. The two walked out of the house at the same time, and a bright sunlight sprinkled on them. Ling Xiao felt a lot more comfortable. "Young master," the Demon Emperor and Poison Scorpion bowed and asked. The Demon Emperor had occupied a new body, and he called Ling Xiao young master, which surprised Poison Scorpion. He thought to himself, when did young master have a new person by his side? For a moment, Poison Scorpion felt a strong sense of crisis. At first he felt that it was a bit sullen to stay by Ling Xiao's side. However, when he saw that there was such a young high-level Earth Sovereign Realm expert by Ling Xiao's side, the arrogance in his heart completely disappeared. The other party was also an Earth Emperor of the same level as him, and he was so young, so his potential was definitely much greater than his. He was afraid that Ling Xiao would pay more attention to the Demon Emperor and ignore his existence. Ling Xiao nodded slightly and replied, "Thank you for your hard work, did you find anything?" Both of them shook their heads, obviously not finding anything. However, the two of them had found a lot of spatial rings from the people who had died in Gu City this time. These spatial rings were all the treasures of those people, and there was no lack of Earth Emperor-ranked treasures among them. There should be a lot of good things inside. Ling Xiao didn't stand on ceremony and took all the spatial rings. At this time Xian Yao flew back from not far away. "I thought you wouldn't wake up?" Xian Yao joked. Ling Xiao smiled bitterly and said, "If I don't wake up, who will refine the advancement pill for you?" Xian Yao seemed to have been hit in the ribs and he laughed dryly and said, "You should refine a large number of advancement pills for me first, it won't be too late if you don't wake up." Ling Xiao couldn't be bothered with this fraud and changed the topic. "What if I can't find the Heaven Gu divine art? Can you calculate its location?" Xian Yao replied, "Let me do a divination first." Then he took out something that looked like a turtle shell and shook it in his hand for a while before throwing out the copper coins inside the turtle shell. "How is it?" Ling Xiao asked very seriously. Chapter 418. Ling Xiao had followed Xian Yao all the way south and he knew that this quack had some skills, which was why he had asked so seriously. He was worried about the priestess' safety, and he would not let go of even the slightest chance of finding the Heaven Gu divine technique. Xian Yao looked at the hexagram on the ground and muttered, "This hexagram hides the moon." "What does that mean?" Ling Xiao asked. "According to the hexagram, the moon should be hanging in the sky, bright and visible, but it has been eaten away by the heavenly hound," Xian Yao said with a frown. He paused for a moment, then said, "The Heaven Gu divine technique should have appeared, but I don't know where it is hidden. It could be near the horizon or it could be far away. Only the fated will know." Hearing this, Ling Xiao's face darkened. "What you said is as good as not saying anything." Xian Yao's face heated up. That's not it. This divination is the best of the best. Although it has been hidden by the heavenly dog, there will be a day when the moon will be revealed, and the fated one will naturally be you, Brother Ling. You don't have to worry too much about this matter, and you don't have to think about it anymore. Just let nature take its course." Ling Xiao was skeptical, but he could only stop thinking about it. The world was so big, and the Heaven Gu divine technique had disappeared for thousands of years. It had probably been destroyed, or it might have fallen into the hands of the big sects that had destroyed the Gu tribe. No matter what, Ling Xiao had no confidence in finding the whereabouts of the Heaven Gu divine technique in the remaining year of this priestess's life. Just as Ling Xiao was feeling depressed again, Nangong Lai appeared. "Senior Nangong is still here?" Ling Xiao asked in surprise. Although Nangong Lai and he were of the same generation, Ling Xiao still called Nangong Lai Senior, out of respect. "Master Ling, are you all right?" Nangong Lai asked with concern. "Thanks to luck, I'm fine," Ling Xiao replied. He then asked, "The vengeful spirits in Gu City have already dispersed, and there's nothing worth exploring here anymore. Why did Senior Nangong stay?" Nangong Lai looked around and sighed heavily. "It's just to complete a mission from 15 years ago. Now, it seems like I can only forget about it." Ling Xiao was slightly surprised. He did not understand why Nangong Lai's mission was related to Gu City. Nangong Lai was too lazy to explain. He knew that Ling Xiao was a subordinate of Gu City. Perhaps he was here for the Heaven Gu divine technique. Explaining would only cause unnecessary misunderstandings. "I want to leave Gu City today. Will Master Ling come with me?" Nangong Lai changed the topic and asked. Nangong Lai knew about Ling Xiao's miraculous abilities. Now that Ling Xiao had two high-level Earth Emperors following him, besides the old monsters of the Magic Shadow Sect and the Alliance Master of the Deity Dao Union, no one could threaten him in the Southern Wasteland. If he included the Blue Flood Dragon, even those old monsters would be afraid of him. Therefore, he definitely had to be on good terms with Ling Xiao. It would be best if their relationship could reach the level of friendship despite the difference in age. After all, Ling Xiao was already a rank 5 alchemist at such a young age. If this continued, he would probably be able to advance another step in a few years. At that time, even if the Danshan Dao came back to life, he would be ashamed. Ling Xiao thought for a moment, but in the end he still shook his head and said, "Senior Nangong, I want to stay here for a while." "Since that's the case, then I won't force you." "Alright, don't call me senior, it sounds distant. You're already a rank 5 alchemist at such a young age, so you should talk to me as an equal. In the future just call me Nangong Lai." Nangong Lai softened his tone. Ling Xiao said modestly, "How can I do that?" "Why not? How about this, I'll call you Brother Ling and you can call me Big Brother Lai. I'm a few years older than you, so let's be a bit more equal," Nangong Lai said passionately. "Alright, since Big Brother Lai is so kind, then I'll take up the responsibility." Ling Xiao also stayed outside. Through his contact with Nangong Lai, he felt that he could make friends with this person. After all, one more friend meant one more path. Moreover, with Nangong Lai's status as the #1 mercenary emperor, he was willing to lower his status to make friends with him. If others heard that the dignified #1 mercenary emperor of the Southern Wasteland, a super expert who had the highest chance of stepping into the venerable level within 100 years, was to make friends with a young man, and that young man still felt that it was too much, they would probably vomit blood in anger. A future Empyrean-level figure would be able to speak as an equal to a tiny low-level king-level figure like him. How great of an honor would that be? Yet he was actually unwilling. It really made them want to find 100 flower-like women to ravage him 100 times, and then swallow their saliva and drown him to vent their anger. Nangong Lai left just like that. Ling Xiao, on the other hand, wandered around Gu City. He was praying that his luck was good, and he would accidentally find the Heaven Gu divine art. How great would that be? Unfortunately, this city of resentment had been occupied by resentful spirits for a long time, and there was nothing to be found except for the dilapidated houses. Ling Xiao had no choice but to give up on the idea of finding the Heaven Gu divine art. At night, Ling Xiao summoned the blue dragon. It had been injured by the old woman's 2 palm strikes, but now that it was full of energy, he could not help but praise its abnormal recovery ability. Ling Xiao then summoned the Golden Wolf King. The Golden Wolf King had been staying in the obsidian cauldron all the way south, and it was time to come out and relax. In the next 2 days, Ling Xiao did his best to restore his body to its peak state. Then he planned to find Xian Yao, who knew that Xian Yao had already left Gu City at some point in time. Xian Yao's departure caused Ling Xiao to feel depressed for a while. He muttered in his heart, "This swindler probably knew that I was going to interrogate him, so he actually slipped away first. I hope I don't meet him next time, or else I'll turn him into a popsicle." Xian Yao had followed him all the way and had predicted some opportunities in advance, which made Ling Xiao feel that Xian Yao was definitely not a simple person. A few days ago, Xian Yao had even set up the floating light sweeping shadow formation, which proved that Ling Xiao's thoughts were correct. He had wanted to have a good talk with Xian Yao, but unexpectedly the other party had slipped away first. This made Ling Xiao feel that Xian Yao was definitely not a simple person. A young man who was far away from Gu City turned around and looked in the direction of Gu City. He chuckled and said, "Who is this Tianji? You want to interrogate me? There's no way. When you come to the central region, I'll tell you the truth." After Xian Yao left, Ling Xiao only had Kai Shiyue the Demon Emperor and Poison Scorpion by his side. Kai Shiyue was often by Ling Xiao's side, while the Demon Emperor and Poison Scorpion tactfully found their own places to cultivate. Ling Xiao held Kai Shiyue's hand and slowly walked towards the setting sun. Their figures were stretched out, and their figures leaned against each other, looking extremely intimate. "I want to make this place glorious again," Ling Xiao said indifferently as he faced the setting sun. Although he was not a member of the Gu clan, he had done the deed of husband and wife with the priestess. He was a true follower of the Gu clan, so he felt that he had to do something for the Gu clan. If he chose to leave now, perhaps the Gu clan would fall into the hands of others, and everything about the Gu clan here would be obliterated. Perhaps after 1,000 years, others would no longer know that this was the origin of the Gu clan. "No matter what husband wants to do, you will support you," Kai Shiyue replied with infinite tenderness. "I want you to be the temporary master of this place. What do you think?" Ling Xiao asked as he hugged Kai Shiyue's shoulder. Kai Shiyue stared at Ling Xiao and said reluctantly, "I want to be with husband more." Ling Xiao hugged this woman who had once been infamous for her fierceness in his arms and said lightly, "If 2 people love each other for a long time, how can they stay together day and night?" Husband's goal is not to stay in the southern wasteland or the northwest. One day I will go to the central region to see what the real holy land of martial arts is like. I let you stay here because I feel that I need to do something for the Gu clan, and I can't stay here all the time, so I can only wrong you. But don't worry, it won't be long before I take you away from here. I can't bear to let a beautiful woman like you stay alone in an empty room. You will listen to you." Kai Shiyue looked at Ling Xiao with infatuation and hugged Ling Xiao tightly, not wanting to let go. Feeling Kai Shiyue's plump body, Ling Xiao felt restless. Young people were always impulsive, and energetic young people were even more energetic. After a night of nonsense, Ling Xiao called Poison Scorpion over. "Young master, what orders do you have?" Poison Scorpion asked respectfully as he bowed. Poison Scorpion felt a great deal of pressure with the presence of the Demon Emperor, a young and powerful opponent. He had to show enough loyalty in order to gain the appreciation of this young master. Otherwise, his dream of becoming a venerable rank cultivator would be delayed indefinitely. Ling Xiao naturally did not know the reason why Poison Scorpion was so respectful. He only felt that Poison Scorpion should have been intimidated by his aura, which was why he was so respectful. He was very happy in his heart. "I will give you a mission. If you complete this mission well, I will give you the 10,000-year stone emulsion," Ling Xiao said lightly. "Please speak, young master." "This old servant will naturally do his best," Poison Scorpion immediately replied, but he was incomparably happy in his heart. "I want you to help you rebuild Gu City in the name of Gu City's vassal. Of course, I don't need you to make it perfect and rich. I just need you to restore the people here. When the Gu clan returns in the future, you can hand it back to them to manage. This can also be considered as me fulfilling a bit of my responsibility," Ling Xiao said faintly. When Poison Scorpion heard this mission, he could not help but feel a headache. It sounded simple, but to restore the people of a city that had been abandoned for tens of thousands of years was not something that could be done in a day or two. However, Poison Scorpion knew that he had no other choice and immediately replied, "This old servant will do his best to help Madame rebuild the city, but, if you have something to say just say it," said Ling Xiao. "But rebuilding the city is not something that can be done in a day, and this old servant and Madame do not have any experience in this area. I'm afraid it will be a bit difficult," said Poison Scorpion. Ling Xiao felt that Poison Scorpion's words were not without reason. It seemed that the two bald commanders had become something big. Ling Xiao fell silent for a moment, thinking about the development of each city and the conditions for its existence. He suddenly thought of the Dong family's auction. "I have an idea." Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He had thought of a solution. After sending Poison Scorpion away, Ling Xiao was not in a hurry to rebuild Gu City, nor did he immediately leave. Instead, he chose to go into seclusion here. Chapter 419. Why did Ling Xiao close it at this time? It wasn't because he had some new comprehension or breakthrough, but because he wanted to activate the dragon's bloodline in his body, and let his ancient divine emperor function advance a step further. He had the corpse of the 9-headed dragon snake in the obsidian cauldron, as well as the 7th-stage 10,000-year blood coral. These two things were enough to let his dragon bloodline advance a step further, and achieve the so-called royal bloodline. Under the Dragon Wave River, Ling Xiao didn't have the time to dissect the 9-headed dragon snake's corpse. Now, taking advantage of this time, he released the 9-headed dragon snake's corpse. Although this corpse had been dead for a long time, its entire body was still emitting the power of ice and fire, making it difficult for ordinary people to approach. Ling Xiao enlarged the obsidian cauldron, and slowly guided the blood essence of the corpse into the medicine cauldron. The 9-headed dragon snake's corpse was extremely huge, and the amount of blood essence in its body was also extremely large. It took more than half the size of a house to drain out. As the blood essence flowed out, the corpse also became shriveled. Ling Xiao then dissected the corpse and took out the useful things such as the beast core, beast skin, beast bones. The flesh that he didn't need was divided between the blue flood dragon and the golden wolf king. In the palm of Ling Xiao's hand was a huge beast core. This beast core was half white and half red, making it look exceptionally strange. Strands of energy overflowed, causing the surroundings to feel hot and cold. The 9-headed dragon snake had 9 heads, but only the head in the middle that could swallow human speech had a beast core. The 9-headed dragon snake was a 8th-stage fierce beast, and it was an extremely rare spirit beast with both ice and fire attributes. The two attributes each took up half, and there was no difference in strength. I thought it would be 9 beast cores of different attributes, but it's actually a mixed-type beast core. Looks like my ice and fire sword can be saved. Ling Xiao was overjoyed as he looked at the beast core in his hand and murmured. He had obtained the ice and fire sword from the old guard in the sect's weapon depository. Without the beast core in the sword hilt, it still had the power of a profound level weapon. He guessed that this ice and fire sword might have been a spirit sword. However, a beast core with both ice and fire attributes was easy to find, but a beast core with both ice and fire attributes was extremely rare and difficult to find. Now that Ling Xiao had obtained this beast core, he could let someone refine the ice and fire sword again. In any case, he still had 2 extremely expensive refining materials in the obsidian cauldron. He planned to forge the ice and fire sword into a sword that was at least a high-grade spirit weapon so that he could use it more easily. Ling Xiao kept the beast core and took off his clothes, revealing his fit and beautiful figure. Ling Xiao was very narcissistic as he shook his head and recited a poem, "A body with the golden ratio, beautiful women will be envious when they see it. Strong and erect, deep and deep, it's really a good poem." With that, he jumped into the cauldron that contained the 9-headed dragon snake's blood essence without hesitation. The 9-headed dragon snake contained a high concentration of dragons' bloodline, and at the same time, it also had the bloodline of other snake clans. Ling Xiao naturally could not swallow all the blood essence and refine it, so he thought of soaking it in the blood essence and slowly extracting the dragon's bloodline. He activated the ancient emperor mystic technique, the pores on his skin expanded, and a bit of blood essence began to seep into his skin. The blood essence seeped into his skin and then into his bloodline, and the mysterious technique began to guide and absorb it. The ancient emperor mystic technique's ability to devour and decompose had always been abnormal. After the mixed blood essence entered, a small portion of the blood was removed, and only the blood essence that belonged to the dragons merged into his bloodline. The dragon's blood essence was abnormally hot, and Ling Xiao only felt that his entire body was hot and unbearable, as if his blood vessels were about to burst at any moment. Ling Xiao already knew that it was not easy to cultivate the ancient emperor mystic technique, and his endurance had long been trained to an extraordinary level in the past few years. He was calm and composed, and the divine technique was on its own, allowing the blood essence to transform his entire body. In fact, Ling Xiao did not know that his feat of absorbing the blood essence was actually a warm-up cultivation for the fifth form of the ancient emperor mystic technique, blood refinement, in advance. The ancient emperor mystic technique was divided into 5 realms: skin refinement, tendon refinement, viscera refinement, bone refinement, and blood refinement. Currently, Ling Xiao had already entered the initial realm of bone refinement, and was still a distance away from the intermediate realm. But now that he had begun to absorb the 9-headed dragon snake's blood essence, the spine and other ribs in his body actually slowly turned yellow, and the golden color of his internal organs gradually showed signs of approaching. Thinking about it, this bone refinement realm, because of the infiltration of the blood essence, caused Ling Xiao's bloodline to begin to mutate, and his bones also received a lot of benefits. Originally, the ancient emperor mystic technique required the Kim people's royal bloodline to cultivate, but this royal bloodline was similar to the true dragon's bloodline, or rather, it was the same. Previously, Ling Xiao had relied on the remnant blood essence of the purple flood dragon and the flood dragon's blood essence to allow his body to cultivate the ancient emperor mystic technique. Now that he had purified his bloodline again, the benefits would definitely be even greater. As more and more of the blood went into his veins, Ling Xiao's blood became a little bit different from the blood of ordinary people. But if you didn't pay attention, you wouldn't be able to see it. Ling Xiao let out a long roar and flew out of the cauldron. He then said to the blue flood dragon, "Xiaolong, go in here." The blue flood dragon had already smelled the blood of its dragons in the cauldron. Seeing that Ling Xiao had already come out, it impatiently entered the blood cauldron. Ling Xiao did not have the time to pay attention to the blue flood dragon. He immediately took out the 10,000-year-old blood coral, tore off 2 of the dozens of vines, and quickly swallowed them into his mouth. Ling Xiao had already taken advantage of the fact that his bloodline had absorbed the dragon's blood essence. He then used the 10,000-year blood coral to purify his bloodline and successfully activated the dragon's blood essence that he had just absorbed. Ling Xiao took advantage of the fact that his bloodline had absorbed the dragon's blood essence. He then used the 10,000-year blood coral to purify his bloodline and successfully activated the dragon's blood essence that he had just absorbed. At the same time, he made it even more concentrated. As the 10,000-year blood coral stem and vine were sucked in, a thick wave of blood churned endlessly in his body. The blood seemed to be burning hot, causing Ling Xiao to be in so much pain that he couldn't help but fall to the ground and scream in pain. This kind of pain was even more painful than when he cultivated the ancient emperor's mystic technique. He felt as if all the blood vessels in his body were about to burst at any moment. At the same time, the bloodline in his body gradually turned a golden color. The golden color of the royal family, the symbol of the dragon's bloodline. Ling Xiao's extraordinary endurance couldn't bear the pain and he finally fainted. Ling Xiao didn't know that when he fainted, dragon scales formed on the surface of his body and tightly wrapped him up. This was the dragon armor's dark force. It was also one of the unique characteristics of cultivating the ancient emperor's mystic technique. This meant that Ling Xiao's bloodline was already suitable for cultivating the ancient emperor's mystic technique. He had initially shown the power of the ancient emperor's mystic technique. However, the technique he cultivated might not be the original version. He would have to wait for an opportunity in the future to obtain the original version of the ancient emperor's mystic technique in order to show the true power of the technique. When Ling Xiao woke up again, he saw that there seemed to be something stuck to his bare body. When he looked at it, it was actually a layer of dried blood. This blood must have been stained by the medicinal cauldron before, but he didn't have time to wash it, so it remained. Ling Xiao bounced up from the ground and breathed a sigh of relief when he found that his body was not seriously injured. He clenched his fists and felt the energy in his body. He only felt that his whole body and mind had a feeling of being able to move mountains and overwhelming momentum. Suddenly there was a stuffy feeling in his chest. There was a feeling of injustice that he couldn't vent if he didn't vent it. Ling Xiao shouted, raised his fist and smashed it hard toward the ground. Boom! A shocking explosion sounded, and a deep pit more than 10 meters wide appeared on the ground. If he hadn't set up a restriction here before, the house would probably have been destroyed by the impact. For a martial artist above the king's stage, A pit more than 10 meters deep could be made with a casual move. But Ling Xiao was very happy because he had created this pit more than 10 meters wide. Because he didn't use any spiritual energy or attribute attack just now, he completely relied on his physical strength to smash the ground to this extent. It could be imagined what kind of terrifying level his physical body had reached. The blood of the dragons has already changed my bloodline, and my physical body has also become more terrifying. If I use the ancient Emperor Divine technique, I'm afraid that I can directly smash high-level profound weapons. Ling Xiao's eyes shone as he murmured. He had previously smashed a low-level 4th-level profound weapon, and now he was confident that he could smash a profound weapon of the 5th level and above. At the same time, his current physical body was probably comparable to the strength of a 5th-level defensive armor. An ordinary Earth Emperor would probably be unable to kill him with their bare hands. Only the use of a spiritual weapon or a high-level profound skill would be able to make him retreat a little. Ling Xiao calmed his excited state of mind and looked at the medicinal cauldron. He originally thought that the blue dragon would stay inside, but he found that the blue dragon had already come out of the medicinal cauldron. Seeing that it didn't seem to be in high spirits, it seemed that it didn't obtain any benefits from the blood in the medicinal cauldron. Ling Xiao went over to touch the blue dragon's head and said, "You have already eaten the blood coral fruit, and your bloodline has long been purified to the limit. I'm afraid that only the bloodline of a true dragon divine beast can help you reap some benefits. But you don't have to worry, first raise your cultivation level, and one day you will become a true dragon divine beast." Ling Xiao's goal was the same as that of all the men in the world. They all hoped to control the world when awake and lie on the knees of beauties when drunk. However, to achieve this ideal and ambition, one must have a strong strength to rely on. Therefore, Ling Xiao had always wanted to constantly become stronger and break through so that one day he could support a part of the world that belonged to him so that he could have a carefree golden nest. When he chose to set foot on the road to the peak, he also hoped that the servants or spirit beasts that followed him would become the supreme existence of tens of thousands of people, and at the same time, he also hoped that the servants or spirit beasts that followed him would become the supreme existence of tens of thousands of beasts. It was just that this ideal was beautiful, but to actually achieve it, who knew how long it would take and how much effort it would take. Ling Xiao originally wanted to clean up the blood in the medicinal cauldron, but the obsidian cauldron's soul reminded Ling Xiao to pour the blood into the second layer of the medicinal cauldron. This way he could also cultivate some strange spirit herbs. Ling Xiao thought about it and felt that the cauldron's words made sense, so he poured all the remaining blood into the second layer of the medicinal cauldron. After Ling Xiao washed his body with clean water, he suddenly had a flash of inspiration. He suddenly thought of purifying the Golden Wolf King's bloodline. Perhaps there would be unexpected gains? Thinking of this, Ling Xiao summoned the Golden Wolf King. Chapter 420. The Golden Wolf King was the first spirit beast that Ling Xiao had subdued with great effort. At the time it was only an advanced rank 2 spirit beast, but it had a rank 3 beast core and a mutated third eye on its forehead. It was supposed to be a wind wolf, but it had a high concentration of the metal attribute and was the mutated king of the wind wolves. Over the years, it had followed Ling Xiao and advanced to the intermediate rank 4 spirit beast. However, with the existence of the blue flood dragon, its usefulness had decreased by a lot. However, Ling Xiao wasn't the kind of person who would forget the old and be greedy for the new. Therefore, he planned to purify the Golden Wolf King's bloodline and see if it had the high-rank Tenbin bloodline. The 10,000-year blood coral was different from ordinary spirit herbs. It had dozens of roots, and each root contained a large amount of essence energy. The 10,000-year-old blood coral was extremely precious, and Ling Xiao intended to keep a portion of it to refine the vitality-prolonging pill. That was why he only ate 2 stalks before, but now he took 5 stalks and fed them to the Golden Wolf King. "Xiao Jin, eat it." Ling Xiao placed the roots in front of the Golden Wolf King. The Golden Wolf King and Ling Xiao had signed a master-servant contract, so it obeyed Ling Xiao's words. It stuck out its tongue and rolled the roots into its mouth. After consuming the stem, the Golden Wolf King couldn't help but howl towards the sky. All the golden fur on its body stood up like needles. Its third eye also slowly opened, and its bloodthirsty fangs were constantly grinding. It worked! Ling Xiao exclaimed with joy. However, as soon as he finished speaking, the Golden Wolf King didn't have any more changes. The Golden Wolf King twitched its ears and said, "Master, is there anything else to eat? Those few blades of grass seem to be too little." Ling Xiao really wanted to kick this glutton. That was a rank 7 spirit herb, blood coral, not a few blades of grass. Ling Xiao hesitated for a moment, then took out 5 more roots and fed them to the Golden Wolf King. This was the true beginning of the mutation. A ball of dazzling golden light blossomed, and the howling of the wolf rang out incessantly. The wolf's fur was no longer a pure golden color, but had become a mix of gold and white, faintly showing signs of growing longer. The wolf's fangs and claws also became longer and sharper. On its forehead, a small bundle of pure white wolf fur protruded from the middle of its head, like a unique embellishment, causing it to become a lot more arrogant. The third wolf's eye continued to flicker with a strange divine light, unexpectedly no longer shrinking into the gap between its skin, but instead occupying a spot like the other 2 eyes, forming a fixed third eye. In addition to the changes on the surface of its body, its aura was also rising steadily. It had actually directly jumped 2 levels and reached the low level of the 5th step. This truly shocked Ling Xiao. "It's a true 3-eyed wolf now," Ling Xiao said, looking at the Golden Wolf King. The current Golden Wolf King was very different from a real wind wolf, and also different from other wolf breeds. It seemed that the bloodline purification this time had made it a true high-level variant spirit beast. The Golden Wolf King had advanced, and its appearance had become not only mighty, but also a little more arrogant. Arrogance, perhaps, was the unique characteristic of a wolf spirit beast. After driving the Golden Wolf King and the Blue Flood Dragon out to let out some fresh air, Ling Xiao began to plan the first step of rebuilding Gu City. He didn't have much time to accompany Kai Shiyue and Poison Scorpion to slowly rebuild and take care of Gu City here. However, as the initiator, it would be unreasonable if he didn't make some effort. Therefore he planned to build an auction in Gu City that was not inferior to Nantian City. With his identity as a rank 5 alchemist, as long as he refined a batch of high-level pills, let the Blue Flood Dragon hunt some high-level spirit rank pills, and then took out some high-level spirit herbs to auction, he would definitely be able to attract countless people. It had to be known that these auction things were extremely tempting, and there would be no shortage of auctions in any big city. With an auction, people would come to auction things, and at the same time, it would also publicize the disappearance of Gu City's reopening. Then there would be no need to worry about no merchants coming to develop here. With merchants, it would mean a flow of people and Gu City could slowly develop. In the future, when the people of the Gu clan returned to their homeland, they would no longer need to worry about rebuilding their home. For 10 days in a row, Ling Xiao concentrated on refining pills in the house. He mainly refined 3rd and 4th grade medicinal pills, but he only refined 2 5th grade medicinal pills. After all, it would take a lot of time to refine 5th grade pills. He still had to go out and hunt some high-level spirit beasts to find some rare treasures to make up for the number. Otherwise, if only pills were to be auctioned at the auction, it would be a bit embarrassing. Ling Xiao summoned Kai Shiyue, the Demon Emperor, and Poison Scorpion. Ling Xiao conveyed his intentions to the 3 of them, and then handed the refined pills to Kai Shiyue for safekeeping. "Husband, your idea is right, but it's not enough to rely on these. The auction is held once a month. If husband leaves here and the pills are auctioned, what can we take out to win people's hearts? Do you want us to search for precious treasures every day? It's not that easy to find treasures in this world," Kai Shiyue said clearly. Ling Xiao nodded and replied, "Then what do you think you're—" Kai Shiyue replied, "I think we have to make friends with other forces, big and small, and let them know the strength of our auction house. Let them provide us with supplies and we can auction them at a good price. This way, everyone will know that there are many good things in our auction, and we will be able to attract a steady stream of people." Madam is right. Although this old servant has never joined any forces, I have made friends with some hidden heroes over the years. I can let them have good things to auction here, Poison Scorpion said. The Demon Emperor was silent at the side, as if he was not interested in these things. Ling Xiao smiled and said, "Your thoughts are the same as mine. There will be no shortage of pills, spirit herbs, and spirit beasts. What we lack the most are profound artifacts, profound skills, and those rare treasures. The first step is to perfect these sources so we don't have to worry about not being able to continue. As for the rest of the industry, we will give some to the merchants first, and leave some for the descendants of the Gu clan to take over in the future." At this time, Poison Scorpion continued, "In terms of refining, the Tang family is the best in the southern wasteland. They have been refining for generations, and there have been a few 6th-stage grandmasters. Now the Tang family's old man is also a 6th-stage spirit tool grandmaster. If we can get the Tang family's supply, the problem of profound artifacts and spirit artifacts can be solved." Ling Xiao was delighted. He hadn't thought about where to refine his ice and fire sword, but now that he heard Poison Scorpion's words, his interest was greatly increased. Since the Tang family was a refining family and had a Grandmaster-level figure in charge, he believed that he could refine his ice and fire sword. At the same time, he could take this opportunity to talk to the Tang family and see if he could obtain their support. This way he could kill two birds with one stone. The trip to the Tang family was extremely necessary. Now that he had a way to solve the problem of the weapons, he would have to rely on others to auction off the other rare treasures. In this regard, he would have to widely publicize the auction. If it was attractive enough, there was no need to be afraid that no one would come. However, before that, there was still a very important problem to solve. A large city must have a transmission array. Otherwise, how could people from remote places rush here? Did he have to spend a lot of time coming from somewhere else? This was obviously impossible. Savage Leopard, check if there's a transmission array in the city. Ling Xiao said to the Demon Emperor. Savage Leopard was the name of the current Demon Emperor's body. It was very similar to the Demon Emperor's cold and bloodthirsty personality. The Demon Emperor himself also liked this code name. He decided that he would use this name to return to his former peak, or even surpass his original cultivation and break into the saint level. The Savage Leopard, Demon Emperor, bowed slightly and said, "There is indeed a transmission array in the city, but it's a bit damaged. We need to redraw the runes to use it." Ling Xiao was overjoyed. With a transmission array, it would be much more convenient to travel between cities. Furthermore, there would be a large amount of profound crystal income. It would be much easier to develop in the future. I'll leave the matter of repairing the runes to you. You and Scorpion go hunt a few rank 5 spirit beasts. If you can find beast eggs or young beasts, that's fine too. I'll go discuss with the Savage Leopard about the Tang family, Ling Xiao instructed. Young master, with your relationship with the Lai Emperor, you can get the Raging Flame mercenary group to provide us with some supplies. I believe that the Lai Emperor will be very happy to help you, Poison Scorpion suggested. Ling Xiao's eyes lit up. Poison Scorpion's words were right. Mercenary groups relied on hunting spirit beasts, searching for spirit herbs and completing missions to survive. If the mercenary group under Nangong Lai were to provide some good supplies, then not only would they be able to solve the problem of the auction being out of stock, but they would also be able to increase the popularity of the auction. What if the Raging Flame mercenary group were to be stationed here? Ling Xiao boldly imagined. This might be a bit difficult, Poison Scorpion replied with a bitter smile. Why? Are you worried that the Gu clan won't agree? Ling Xiao asked. That's not it, but the Lai Emperor was originally a member of the Nangong family. His heart is on the Nangong family's side, and he has already stationed the mercenary group in the Nangong family's headquarters. He definitely won't be easily transferred away, so there's no need for young master to waste your time on this, Poison Scorpion replied. Ling Xiao suddenly understood and immediately said, so that's how it is. But now that we have a way, rebuilding Gu City will be much easier. The key is to see how we can spread the news of Gu City's reopening to all the cities in the Southern Territory. This is easy, but there were many forces that wanted to occupy Gu City and become the king. Now that Gu City has been reopened, I'm afraid that there will be many forces that will be tempted, Poison Scorpion said. Kai Shiyue interrupted. With us here, I'm sure ordinary forces won't dare to be presumptuous. Kai Shiyue was already a mid-level Earth Emperor, and Poison Scorpion was a high-level Earth Emperor. The two of them were already at the top of the southern wasteland. Other than a few major forces who would dare to snatch their territory. Ling Xiao thoughtfully revealed a cunning smile and said, it's best if someone comes to snatch our territory so that we can increase our manpower. The other three were stunned, and then they all revealed a look of understanding. After dividing the work, Kai Shiyue and Poison Scorpion went to the nearest mountain forest to look for high-level spirit beasts, while the Savage Leopard seized the time to repair the formation patterns. When the formation patterns of the transmission formation were re-engraved, waves of spatial energy continuously flashed in the sky above Gu City, and only after a long time did it return to normal. Ling Xiao and the Savage Leopard set foot on the road to the Tang family. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.